Disney movies. Have they actually been declining in quality as we move into a modern age? Are we dumbing down movies for children? And were the Disney princess movies actually ever any good, or has it all been nostalgia this entire time? Hi, I'm Percy. I'm a romance author with a background in performing arts, a self-proclaimed and self-deprecating Disney adult. How's it going? Good. I hope. Because of me recording my audio on my phone instead of my nice microphone isn't an indication to you, let me tell you, it's been a rough couple weeks here in the Quill House. As it has been everywhere. So I really hope it's going good for you. And if you got any, good news, please put it down below. Any and all success is welcome and deeply appreciated. Literally, as I went to click record on my camera, the back leg slipped off my table in front of me, and my entire tripod and camera went tumbling to the ground, cracking my camera screen. Anyway, how did this video come to be? Wow. See, I got a comment on my Snow White video that I probably think about at least once a week. And it said, "You're so pretty, but Snow White is not a good movie." So I think I'm pretty. Thank you. I needed that. But I think about this comment all the time. And in a positive light, let me be clear. Because I feel very firm in my beliefs, you know? You can disagree with me all you want. I welcome it, actually. I just like that you think I'm pretty. And so I had a day where I was thinking about that comment. And on my YouTube home screen came up a video by Sarah Savith. Sarif. Great creator. Huge fan. Where she watched and ranked all the original Disney princess movies because she realized she hadn't seen a lot of them. And immediately I was like, oh, that sounds like a lot of fun. That's a great idea. So I immediately turned it off to not influence my opinion. But then I knew I wanted her to get her back, so I put it back on, plugged in my headphones, and put the headphones away from me so I couldn't hear it while I started drafting up this video idea, right? And that comment came back to me. Snow White is not a good movie. Okay, and so I thought, what makes a good movie? And I thought the answer was gonna be simple, but you've seen the runtime. And I wanted this to be simple. Oh my God, did I want something laid back and fun and brain off type content to make. Not just for me, but also because I want to be able to make content more frequently, to be able to hang out with you guys while also working on bigger projects in the background, you know? And also, the state of the world, sometimes you want brain off activities, okay? So I wanted brain off. Easy, simple, but that's not how my brain works. Especially because I wanted to get this video done before my birthday. I didn't want to be editing in the back of my mind as I'm blowing out my candles. But instead, I am now recording this on my birthday while I'm going to do my makeup for my birthday dinner. It's my birthday! Oh man. Percy, it's your birthday. Take your day off. No, I am so determined to get this video out before the end of June. My goal is to get to the point where I can make 2 videos a month, and right now I am hauling for 1 video this month. Dear God. But it's my birthday. Wish me happy birthday. Thank you. But like I said, I craved simple. But I wasn't sure how to do that. You know, did I want to do a classic tier list? Did I want to do a number ranking system or a star ranking system? Something along those lines. And as I was working out those thoughts about how to define a good movie, I remember movies like Frozen 2 and Raya and the Last Dragon getting a lot of critique and people saying oh, movies are getting worse. And then I started thinking about the live actions and I know those movies are getting worse. So then I'm thinking about everything that made the previous movies fun. And suddenly I have a spreadsheet. And I have graphs, and it's color-coded, and my spreadsheet is color-coded matched to my script, and I couldn't be stopped. I couldn't be stopped. And I didn't want to be stopped. Because how was I, someone who had seen almost all of these movies multiple times over the past years, and who has nostalgia for them, how was I going to rate these movies fairly and decide if they were good or not? Well, with an in-depth 8-level 5-star rubric system, of course. What, did you expect anything else? That's weird on your behalf. Do you like my cup? I was going to use my Snow White cup because, of course, I'm going to use that cup for all of any Disney movie I talk about. But this one's new. It was a hand-me-down from one of Wub's coworkers. And it matched my outfit, and it's my birthday. Now, I don't want to toot my own horn too much, but I am very proud of this rubric system, and I think it's a good rubric system. So I'm excited to share it with you. I'm excited to get your thoughts, and I'm excited to defend myself here. So it's 8 questions, all of them scored on a vibe out of 5. 1. Would I show it to my children alone? The lowest on this vibe scale being like, hell no, I don't want my kid to see this without me there. Because I need to talk to them, I think it's going to scare them, what have you. 2, okay, yeah, I'd let them watch it, but I'd want to like be in the room for when things come up. And a 5 out of 5 being, yes, I am putting this on so they can leave me the hell alone for 5 minutes. Now, I want it to be clear, I do not have children currently, but I want them, and my partner and I have talked about having children. And we've talked about how we want to raise them and the morals and blah, 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 blah. And so while I don't have first-hand knowledge just yet, I do want to know I'm taking this question very seriously. And if you are a parent and you disagree with me on any of my ratings here in this section, you're like, I don't think that would matter to a kid. Let me know. It's perfectly valid. But more valid than mine. 2, do I want her doll? And I ain't talking about like a $20 doll from Walmart. No, I'm talking about a limited edition, $150 special edition D23 collector's doll that stays in the box on the shelf. That's what I'm talking about. And I'm using this question to answer, does this movie have a strong visual identity that adds to the storytelling? And does that translate into our main heroine? And that's important because if our main heroine has a strong presence that is easy to identify with and that is easy to spot in a crowd, well, our kids are going to be drawn to her and they're going to be like her and they're going to want to look up to her, right? So is that presence strong enough for me as an adult with my hard-earned money? Do I want to spend it on a doll of this character? And the vibe here goes from, no, not really, I'm just not interested. I appreciate it from a 5, but I don't want it, to, okay, maybe secondhand, open box sale, if her hair's a little ratted, I still want it enough to keep an eye out for it, but I'm not hunting for it. It's in the back of my mind. 2, my 5 out of 5 being, Mama, I am saving up money. I am making room on my shelves, even though I know I do not have room. That's not important. I will make it work. That is a 5 out of 5. Number 3, is my heart aflutter? And this one's really self-explanatory. Is the romance good, especially on a rewatch? Was my heart normal, uninterested? Did it give a single interested thump? A little thump, if you will? Or if you won't, 'cause that sounds nasty. Or was my heart fully aflutter, fluttering away like a butterfly? Number 4, is my go bag packed? See, when I was a child, my favorite movie was Spy Kids. Follow me. It was the first kids movie I had ever seen that had a Hispanic family at the forefront. The Hispanic kids were the ones going on the adventure, so I was really attached. I was very obsessed. Every time it rained, for some reason, I had to watch the movie with a cup of hot chocolate. Don't know what that means, but because of this movie and my deep love for it, I would dress up in all black. And I would grab my mom's old makeup case that she didn't use, and it would be my little spy makeup computer, and I would jump on the bed and I would play Spy Kids. And that feeling is what this question represents. Does this movie make me want to dress up and play Spy Kids or Mermaid or Warrior? Insert appropriate makeup game here. Does the movie make me want to dress up and play pretend in their world? Does it spark that fuse of creativity? Now, this is different than nostalgia. I'm not asking, did this make me feel like a kid again? No. I'm asking, did this make me a 29? Did this movie make me a 29-year-old woman want to get up and play pretend? Was I going to? No. I'm old. But did I want to? Did I want to visit their world? Did I want to live in a shoebox? That is the question. Because sometimes you watch a movie and you do want to know what it's like to live in a small town and own a bookshop. And that's a normal human experience. So, is my go bag packed? Am I out the door? Or is it on the floor, unloved and empty? Number 5, how hard did I cry? Did I get like a little bit of eye shimmer? Did I get a little sniffle? Or was my shirt completely soaked with tears and snot? Now, this one, I will say, this one is probably the one where I would be the most biased. Because I am, in fact, a crybaby Cancer. I am emotional. I cry at the drop of a hat. The wind blows wrong and I'm a sniffling. So this one I am biased. I did try my best to remain neutral, but I've been this way all my life, okay? But I do explain why I gave every movie the score I gave it. So, it's my birthday. I can cry if I want to. Number 6. Did I dance in my seat? Not only did the music make me want to do a little wiggle in my chair, but does it add to the movie's identity? Is it unique enough to create a distinguished vibe, or does it feel forgettable and generic? And for Disney movies specifically, my personal 5 out of 5 is be prepared and we don't talk about Bruno. For a 5 out of 5, I desperately want a punchy, unforgettable, green haze tinged, dramatic musical number, okay? Like, I want to dance and sing after the movie is done. Is that a little cringy? Yes. To be cringe is to be free, okay? I like music. Number 7. How evil is evil? Like, is the villain's plan low-key kind of fucked up? Some of them are. And not only that, but do I believe that they're going to follow through with their threats? Do me, the 29-year-old woman in the room, do I believe that they're going to follow through with their threats? Because the more evil, the better, in my opinion. Like, ¿quién me está hablando? What the fuck? The hell, don't call me. And I know criteria 1 is like, would I show this to my children? But low-key, I want to traumatize children. Is that wrong of me to say? I've said it before and I'll say it again. I think villains are really important in children's movies because children need to know that the dragon can be slain, right? They need to know that heroes can win even when there is real danger afoot. And last but not least, number 8. Would this be made today? And now this one is pretty confusing on the rating scale. It confused my partner because the higher the score, the less likely that I think it would be made today by Disney as it currently stands. So a 5 is no way in hell would Disney touch this concept. Not even with a 10-foot pole. And number 1 being like, yeah, they would, and they probably will. And so some of these movies have live actions, and so it does come into consideration a little bit with this rating. But this one was important to me personally. Now, why does this impact the score positively if it wouldn't be made today? Well, because for better or for worse, they made a choice and they stuck to it. They followed through with their whole heart, and I can respect that. I respect that a hell of a lot more than the lukewarm, not trying to offend anyone in either direction ever. God, I don't want to make anyone mad bullshit that we've been served the past few years, you know? Now, you're smart and sexy, and I know you're sitting there going, what? I don't think every movie is going to get a score in every one of these criteria listed. And you're correct. That's intentional. See, I believe that a good movie, a solid movie, will do most of these or a handful of these really, really stinking well, or it will do all of them kind of well, you know? So if it needs to drop out in a criteria, like let's say it doesn't make me cry at all, okay, well, it better be hauling ass in one of the other criteria. It better have a huge sense of adventure. It better be a beautiful movie, etc., etc. It's called balance. And then on top of that, I really wanted to try to combat recency bias and confirmation bias when doing this experiment. So I didn't want to watch them in order. Since I'm asking the question, do these movies get worse the more modern we get? I didn't want to know what I was going to watch next. I wanted to know, how does this movie stand up on its own, regardless whether or not it is better than those surrounding it. And then only at the very end, after I finished my last movie, did I go back, put them in score order, and ask myself, does this feel correct? And if it didn't, why didn't it? Where was the unbalancing happening? Was I rating higher in certain categories because of a recency bias? You know, I scored these as I watched them. And for the most part, I was pretty spot on. I had maybe 2 or 3 points that had to be adjusted, but it was only ever moved like 1 point in either direction, if it was moved at all. And that really came down to me refining my scale rating. And now, finally, the way that I kept the order of these movies random was with this little pumpkin. It didn't affect my rating in any way. I just like pumpkins, and it was fun for me. And so now, finally, if you like this rating system, I know we're starting with the Disney princesses, but I would love to use this same rubric across different movies. I would love to expand this chart to include, like, the sequels and Frozen, because no, I didn't include Frozen in this because they're technically not Disney princesses. We've talked about it. They're in their own category. But also the almost princesses, the Disney fairies. If you like this, I would love to keep the series going. So make sure to comment and subscribe on this video to let me know. Or at the very least, just drop a cheeky little like to let me know, I like this, I want more of this. I will gladly deliver. And now finally, let's get on with movie number 1. Aladdin, or technically I've pulled Jasmine. I'm gonna put my phone here. So I adore Aladdin. I think it's a lot of fun. I think the comedic timing is great. Like, it's really hard to beat Robin Williams. Like, oh my god, he's just one of a kind. And I wasn't laughing out loud, but I was smiling, like, almost the entire movie. It's a good time. And I love that even though this is a kid's movie, it still trusts the audience. Like, we get to see Aladdin make good and bad decisions and deal with the consequences in either direction. And that's just cool. It just felt refreshing, you know? So, would I show it to my children alone? 4 out of 5. Because as a repeat, yes, absolutely. I don't have a problem with it morally. There's nothing I really object to in the movie. It's only a 4 because I could see it scaring children. You know what I mean? So I don't think I would want the first viewing for them to do it completely alone. Like, this movie literally opens up with someone talking about how they had to slit throats to get here, you know? Like, and so the way I ended up thinking about would I show this to my children is if I found out my kids saw this movie at, like, summer camp or sleepover, although I don't know how I feel about sleepovers, that's another discussion. If they came across this movie alone with friends, how would I feel as the parent? Would I feel the need to talk to them? Would I feel the need to check up on them? That's kind of how I structured this question. And so a 4 to 5 is great. I don't have a problem with it. I would ask, you okay? What did you think? Now, do I want her doll? Respectable 3 out of 5. See, I really like Jasmine. She feels like she's a girl, you know? Our first instance of meeting her, it's literally with a prince storming off, screaming how she's never going to be married, blah, 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 blah. And we immediately like her because of it. And especially considering this movie is Aladdin, not Aladdin and Jasmine or Aladdin and Friends, you know. Clearly, this movie was meant to be more towards a male audience. And so to see a female character who is seen as difficult, quote unquote, and it's not seen as a bad thing, but rather a positive attribute, oh, that's cool. I love that. I love Jasmine. She sticks up for herself. She gets upset, and it's never seen as a bad thing. She's justifiably upset, no matter how big or small. Awesome. Great. And it's never drawn attention to as in girl power. It's just is. She just exists. She's just a girl with feelings and opinions and wants and likes, and it's great. I really like Jasmine. And as for aesthetics, she does have, like, a few outfits to pull from. And they're all pretty, but they're all kind of simple. And so trying to think about her as a doll that's worth $150, what can we add? What motifs can we draw from? And in the movie, there's not a whole lot to pull from. I think that there's something there, you know? It's not nothing, but it's not peak. My ears perk up at the idea of a second-hand doll, but I probably wouldn't spend the full $150 on it. Also keep in mind, I'm saying $150 because that feels like a big number, but it's also not unreasonable to save up for over the course of a few months. It is a lot of money. I am going to say it is a lot of money, and that's intentional in this case. I want it to feel like a lot of money. Is she worth a lot of money? Thank you. And like many, I would want to see a doll of her in her red outfit. You know what I mean? I think it would look really cool. I think that would be really fun to draw, and it'd be very striking. Unfortunately, I don't think I would recognize it as Jasmine if it didn't have a name tag. That's the only downside. A very solid 3 out of 5. So in editing this video, I actually came across a few different dolls that really highlighted what I mean about capturing the essence of the movie / of the princess. I didn't find one for every one of them, but I found a good, and so I'm going to call them out as they come. But number 1 was Jasmine. I think that this doll takes aspects from every outfit she wears in the movie, including the purple one at the very end. I think this is a great example of distilling the entire movie down to a single doll. I think she's pretty. But also, can we talk about how accurate I was with the 150? Like, good for me. And also, many of these dolls I found on AsiaDisney.com. Just want to call that out. Question 3. Was my heart a flutter? 3 out of 5. Another 3 out of 5. Literally 20 minutes in, they've already met and they are meeting each other's freak. And I love that for them. I also love that Aladdin is like a lover boy. Cute. Iconic of him. The do you trust me moment? Great. I love that. It really only got a 3 out of 5 because I kind of wanted them to talk more. Like, we never just see them hang out. Sorry, I can't talk while doing my eyebrows. Unfortunately, with me doing my makeup on camera, that means you guys now know that I shave off half of my eyebrows to make them straight. One thing. Oh yeah, 3 out of 5 because I wanted them to talk more. Like, we have a lot of big romantic gestures, and it's kind of a whirlwind romance and a lot of big moments where they fall in love. And they have a shared want of feeling trapped and wanting to find adventure, you know? So it's there. And I don't think I have ever noticed it before. Is my eyebrow distracting? But I don't think I've ever noticed it before. But because I'm thinking about this criteria, I couldn't help but wonder this time around. What do you guys talk about now that you're together? When you're just hanging out? And once I realized that, I was like, oh, like, we don't get to see them hang out casually. And that made me sad. Now, do I believe that they fall in love and they stay together? Yes, because it's a Disney movie. Of course, I'm going to believe in the happy ending. But I couldn't help but wonder, what do y'all talk about? Next, is my go bag packed? No, 0 out of 5. It looks hot. I don't like sand. It's coarse and it gets everywhere. Ugh. Next, how hard did I cry? Another 0 out of 5. Not a big tearjerker. Only dry eyes. Next, did I dance in my seat? 4 out of 5. Music, it's so distinct. The opening riff plays and you're like, ooh, yes, take me away. It's so fun. It's a vibe. Not only that, but you can see this movie in particular draws a lot of inspiration from Broadway while also still having its own identity and not just being Broadway inspired. I love that. Unfortunately, I did find myself wanting a song from Jasmine. It just felt a little incomplete without it, and not the one that happened in the live action. No. I wanted her to belt out Behind These Palace Walls from the Broadway show. I think that would fit in the movie so easily. Just slip it on. And then How Evil is Evil. 5 out of 5. Like I said, not only did we open this movie talking about slitting throats, but beheading apparently is a really commonplace punishment. So much so that Jasmine doesn't question it when it's brought up to her. She just believes Jafar. And that's insane. Also, bonus points for Jafar only wanting to marry Jasmine as like a part of his evil plan. You know? And it's not some weird attraction to her. And it's such a weird concept that when it's brought up, everyone goes, you? Why? Like, it's seen as weird. It's seen as evil because it is. I love that. That made me laugh. That one did make me laugh, actually. And lastly, would this be made today? 3 out of 5. They did remake it. And while they added some things like giving Jasmine more moments of her by herself, again, I wish we had Behind These Palace Walls instead of the song we did get, but I don't mind the song that we did get. I like what they added to Jasmine. It's a fun, fresh take. But unfortunately, they still took out the teeth that the movie did have, right? Lots of little changes here and there that just made it feel more bland overall. So, middle of the road, 3 out of 5 on that one. Okay, I had to adjust. My computer is now down here. I will look at you whenever possible, but I need to look at my script and I need my hands. Whatever. It's my birthday. I can do whatever I want. Anyway, the final score of Aladdin was 22. Not bad if I do say. I think that's a really strong start. Up next, Mulan. Now, Mulan is one of the most beloved Disney films to my knowledge. especially by the Asian community, rightfully so. And it is so deserved. It is such a good movie. Again, there's never any forced, like, girl power. She just is cool. She's strong-willed and independent and interesting, and it's seen as a negative thing, like, not just by others about her being so strong-willed, but also in herself. She doesn't like that she doesn't fit in. She's not like everyone else, and I love that. I love Mulan. And it was halfway through this movie specifically where I realized, oh no, I need to add the criteria of would this be made today? Because if Mulan, as is, was made today, oh my god, the headlines would read, Disney making our kids trans, super gay, and anti-military. Well, do they know? We're doing that all on our own anyway. And so because this movie is the one that made me add that criteria to the list, of course, it gets a 5 out of 5. And we know that they wouldn't remake this movie today because they didn't. They made a different movie, called it Mulan, and pretended we wouldn't notice. I think our bad guy is kind of scary. I think he could scare children, but specifically that scene where the Huns pop up out of the snow and the, like, zombies' arms are reaching out. I remember being a kid and specifically other kids being scared of that scene in particular. I don't know why, but I felt it was worth calling out. But I think the violence is almost fantastical enough to kind of counteract that scariness, right? Even the smoke that is used in the movie, it's all stylized. Now, do I want her doll? It's a strong 4 out of 5. I do. I would want her in any of her outfits. Like her pretty matchmaking one, but we gotta include the sword. Her pretty green one, but we gotta include the sword. Her pretty last one, as long as we include the sword. Everything excluding, like, her training outfit. Like, she got some pretty damn good fits in this movie. And I think because of that, because her outfits are really cool, I think that makes it really easy for her doll to include things like interesting layering pieces, interesting texture, interesting places for design, you know, like the structure of what we think of when we think of Mulan as a character. There's a lot of real estate to include interesting motifs from the rest of the movie. Again, as long as we include the sword. This doll just screams beautiful, intricate detail work to me. And I love that. I think we just got a beautiful wealth of silhouettes and color palettes to work with. And for it to, at a glance, still read Mulan, you know? So the next IRL doll that I found was Mulan for the 25th anniversary. This one is also on AsiaDisney.com. Can we talk about how accurate your girl was down to the doll having the sword? Hello? I don't want anyone to ever talk to me ever again. Okay, like, hello? Now, is my heart aflutter? For most of the movie, no, which felt shameful. I felt like I was doing something wrong when I was like, do I just like them together? Like, for a while I considered this being a 1 or a 2, mostly because, you know, that look that Shang gives after he got kicked in the face and he kind of liked it. And then the ending happens and Shang follows Mulan's lead in the final battle. And then Mulan stays behind to save Shang from the bad guy, whatever his name was. And then the Emperor's advisor is like getting in her face and he's like, absolutely not. Don't talk to her, talk to me. And then he chases after her and he follows her home and he goes, is there a Mulan here? And I'm like, I think I hit my phone for that. I'm so sorry. It just, my heart was in fact aflutter. And it was because they were friends first and they had chemistry first. And at the very end, for everything to culminate, 4 out of 5. Mwah. Good, beautiful romance. So is my go bag packed? Oh, baby, we got a 5 out of 5. I am out the door. Give me a fan. I want to fight a Hun. And I don't know what it is about seeing Mulan in action and being clever and outwitting her opponent, especially as, like, a pretty girl and she's going up against people bigger than her. She's taking them down. I'm like, yeah. It low-key just made me want to get up and work out. Did I? No, but I wanted to. And that's what matters. Now, how hard did I cry? I think most of you are going to assume that this is going to be a higher score than it is, but it's a 1 out of 5. It's a 1 out of 5 for me. Because my eyes, they were glistening, but I wasn't sobbing. Now, why were my eyes glistening? Boy, I don't know. I've seen this movie a million times. I didn't expect it, and still, it caught me by surprise. Like, I know how this movie ends, and yet, Every time when Mulan finally gets to see her dad and she drops on her knees and she presents like all these trophies for him to be proud of her, and he just throws them aside and gets on his knees and hugs her, and it gets me. It gets me. It does. To him, she's the best gift that she ever could have brought, just her coming home alive, and that's the good shit. I ended up watching this movie a few weeks ago because, peek behind the curtain, Lady, my cat, has been in and out of vet offices this past month, which is why it's been a rough time. She's fine now, but we had to go to the ER. So it's been a couple weeks since I've seen Mulan, and I wasn't on my period then, but it's threatening to show up later this week, and now I'm about to cry again, and I'm not even watching the movie. This time I'm just PMSing, but it's fine, it's whatever. Anyway, back to what we're talking about. Did I dance in my seat? It's 3 out of 5. I was vibing. I was doing a little rock back and forth, but I wasn't outright dancing because, see, this movie has 2 of the most iconic Disney songs almost ever, right? Make a Man Out of You and A Girl Worth Fighting For. Not only that, but the ending of A Girl Worth Fighting For, where they cut off mid-song as they come across this desolated village. Oh my god. It's such a strong choice that it's never been attempted or replicated since. Ugh, it's so good. The music is cohesive, it's iconic, it's memorable, and I only didn't rate it higher because I didn't actually dance in my seat. You enjoy the songs while they're playing, but it's not an earworm. It doesn't get into you, and you're not leaving the movie humming the songs, right? So for that reason, 3 out of 5. Now, how evil is evil? 4 out of 5. How many minutes does it deliver a message? 1. Kill someone just slightly off screen. Insane choice. Love that, honestly. I believe that if it wasn't for Mulan, these men would have absolutely taken over China. And they would have deserved it. They would have put in the work to get it done. They were efficient. And now Aladdin had a lot of threats of violence, a lot of talking about violence. But the violence and death that we see is like, oh no, I'm buried in sand. You know, there's no outright violence. Versus Mulan, that man got shot. We don't see it, but it's right there. We know it's there. Like, that's impressive. Which brings Mulan to a score of 31. That's gonna be hard to beat, but it feels deserving. Next, Pocahontas. So, we start off this movie already breaking my suspension of disbelief. Because what do you mean John Smith jumped off a boat in a storm to save a man who was drowning, and then the crew of the boat pulled both of their dead weight back onto the deck in the heat of a storm? Absolutely fucking not. Absolutely not. Do you know the power of water resistance? How much drag would be happening? Absolutely not. And I pride myself on my suspension of disbelief, but that was one step too far, Pocahontas. Also, I forgot that the dog and I share a name. And I don't like that. So the movies on this list were ones that I think would fall into 3 different categories. Ones I dreaded watching, ones I were excited to watch, and ones that I haven't seen that in a while. Cool. Indifferent too. And I think Pocahontas fell right in between dreading watching and, I haven't seen that in a while. Cool. Area. This weird gray area, right? So imagine my surprise when I turned it on and this movie is incredibly anti-colonialist? Colonist, sorry. Because I don't remember that. I think I have spent most of my life learning about and hearing about how problematic the movie of Pocahontas is, which it is, lest we forget. But I think because of that, we, or at least I, have also forgot about how well intended it is, because it is very well intended. Because yes, this movie is the embodiment of the noble savage trope, which is icky. But then the movie itself also says that colonizers are ravishing native nations for selfish reasons and are killing people in their wake. And our big bad is like, yes, I want to be like that. And I was kind of bamboozled by that. I didn't think it was going to be pro-colonizing, but I didn't think it was going to be so the colonizers are the bad guys, you know what I mean? As for the noble savage trope, Yeah, no, it fits that to a T, you know? It can fit both things at once. It can still have a noble savage while also being like, fuck colonizers. And the worst part is that watching the movie, you can tell it's trying its best to be so well intended, and it just doesn't land. And every now and then you remember, oh yeah, Pocahontas is a real person, and you're like, And honestly, I think that if this movie did not have romance and the main princess had a different name, oh, this would be so much higher on the list. Genuinely, I think it'd be a lot higher on the list. Even with the noble savage trope still happening, you know? If we rework it, if we get rid of the romance, let's make them best friends. Okay, cool. It's a product of the time still, but it's not offensive in any way. I think we can make that work, personally. Now, would I show this to my children alone? 1 out of 5. You thought I was going to say 0. No, 1. Because I wouldn't show it. Absolutely not. I wouldn't show it. But if they happen to come across it on their own, they put it on the TV by themselves, at a summer camp, at a friend's house, I wouldn't be mad about it. Like, it's an enjoyable movie. It really is. But you can bet your ass that we're going to sit down and discuss, hey, there's some things to talk about with this movie. Now, would I show this to my children when they're a little bit older? Thinking like 8 to 12 area? Yeah, I think I would. Because I think they'd be old enough to talk about and to really understand what this movie does well and where it falls short. You know, if they're younger, if they're like 6, all right, I'm not going to be talking about the noble savage trope. But, you know, you can still have the discussion with them like, hey, they meant to do well, but they didn't hit the mark. Because yes, the moral of the story is to not assume the worst in others. It's about being open to learning from other cultures that might seem different than you and that might be scary at first. But that's okay, because we're all people at the end of the day. Like, that's an idea I would want my future kids to know. So it's a confusing one, unfortunately. But like I said, I think it's a great movie to be able to talk to your kids about impact versus intent, about meaning well, but you can still hurt someone. So like I said, 1 out of 5. Now, do I want her doll? That's a 2 out of 5, because as is, not really, because she's usually dressed in lots of tans and earth tones, which is fine. But in a $150 doll, I'm gonna want more. But this movie is so gorgeous. It is a beautiful movie. And I can see her being not just in her tans, but also a Colors of the Wind inspired moment. Do you smell what I'm stepping in? Like, that could be really cool. That could be really pretty. We got the swirling mixed colors mixed with like the traditional earth tones. Like, ooh. So for the next IRL doll, I found this one of a 2018 Pocahontas collector's doll. I only found the image. I couldn't find an actual listing that listed the price, but we can assume that it was about $150. Because your girl's a genius. And I think that this is a great example, one, of the amount of detail that these dolls should have. This girl got beading on her. Like, each little tassel has a bead. That's the level of detail we should expect, okay? For $150. But 2, while it's not a swirling cape of Colors of the Wind, I do love the teal cape. I think it brings in the around the river bend motif, okay? And also, obviously, this doll has more real life native influences. I am not an expert, so I do not know how accurate this doll is, but she looks more accurate than she does on screen. Yeah, one of those I can see myself being interested in, being like, oh, I'm gonna keep that in the back of my mind. That one's interesting. That one's cool. But I don't know if I want it, you know what I mean? I can appreciate it from afar. So, if it's a good enough sale, now we're cooking with some grease, but either way, I think 2 out of 5 is an appropriate number. Now, is my heart a flutter? 0 out of 5. No. Gross. I think this movie is worse for the fact that it has romance in it. Is my go bag packed? 3 out of 5. So this movie has a huge sense of wanderlust and wanting to explore and wanting to get out there, partnered with how beautiful this movie is, because it is. It's very, very beautiful. I think it's really pretty. It's a really unique and stylized use of color. And while this movie didn't leave me craving adventure, it for sure made me want to go out on a hike. Especially, like, being from California. And yes, I know this movie takes place on the East Coast. There's this huge sense. My partner's about to walk in. Why do you taste like cinnamon?
Because I ate a whole piece of cinnamon thing when I came out.
No, why didn't you bring me the cinnamon? And yes, I know this movie takes place on the East Coast. But being from California, I have a lot of access to beautiful nature. And specifically, like, Come in.
Sorry. It's super good.
That's so good. Oh my god.
What?
I haven't eaten. I'm hungry.
Also, we'll edit. Is this how you want?
This is my recording. Yes. Go away. Go away. Yes. I don't have my mic. I can't find it. Anyway, but like I was saying, in California, lots of easy access to beautiful nature spots. And oh my god, did I want to go into the redwoods. And I wanted to go on a beautiful nature hike. Can I go on a hike? No. I cannot walk that long. But god, did I want to. And that's what matters. Now, how hard did I cry? 0 out of 5. No, I didn't. There's supposed to be like a big emotional moment when she throws herself on top of him, but I can't get past the romance aspect. Like I said, maybe if they were best friends, it'd be a different story. But with them, with it being nah, not here. Next, did I dance in my seat? 2 out of 5. I'm ashamed of it, but I was in fact throwing it back to Savages. I'm not even going to defend myself on that one. I don't think it's worth defending. Also, let it be known, I hadn't seen like Savages in its entirety since high school, and it was completely lost on me just how cinematic that sequence is. Oh my god. And sonically, like the use of the war drums contrasted with the snare drums, it's actually really good. You can go watch it like on YouTube just by itself. It's a lot of fun. It's a good sequence. And I know people like to say that Colors of the Wind is the most iconic song in that movie. Savages all the way. Savages all the way. Now, how evil is evil? 5 out of 5. The bad guy is the white man stealing land. And because he's the white man stealing land, that's what makes him the bad guy. Oh, good. Love that. Now, lastly, would this be made today? 5 out of 5. No. Should it be made today? No. Could it be made today? If you had asked me this a month and a half ago, I would have said no. But then I started watching Marvel's What If, and I saw that one episode that completely takes place in, I believe, the Mohawk language. If it's not that, it's fully in a native language with subtitles. And it is able to tell the story of native people dealing with colonizers in a really interesting, really cool way. I really like that episode. And ever since then, I'm thinking a little bit differently. Like, I think we could do a movie like this almost as is with minimal tweaking. I think it's possible. I think it could work. I think a story like this with native writers at the forefront could be made today. Now, would that story be made today? No. So no matter what, 5 out of 5. For a total of 18? Yeah, 18. And I think that number feels about right for how enjoyable this movie is, even with its many issues, right? Because the music is good. The story feels good, like the moral feels good when you're watching it. Like, this movie feels like it's trying to do something and it just didn't know how. It didn't quite stick the landing. And I think for that reason alone, it has stuck around so long. When you watch it, it doesn't make you angry. It just makes you a little sad because you want to enjoy it. Now, with that being said, my partner's here. That means it's food time, baby. And I'm so excited. I'm going to go enjoy my birthday dinner and I'll catch up with you guys tomorrow. I am back and we're going to pretend it's not the next day and that you can't hear banging in the background. Thanks. I will say I did find my Snow White cup, so we're already off to a better start. Okay. Also, I put on eyelashes for like the first time in years. What do we think? Do we like them? I think I do. Let me know down below. Unless it's negative, then keep it to yourself. Where were we? Brave. Yes. So I forgot about this movie in my Disney Princess Bring video, and I'm so sorry to Merida because I love this movie and I forgot how much I love this movie. I remember watching it. I was probably like a sophomore in high school when it came out, I think. And I remember going to watch it and I had just gotten in a fight with my mom and I had red hair at the time. So I think you can guess just how much I really liked this movie when I first saw it, but I hadn't seen it since then because it made me cry so hard. So this is my first time seeing it in a very long time. And I'm gonna be completely honest with you. If there's any movie on this list that I think could have a satisfying sequel, I think it's Brave. Follow me for a second. A plot. The triplets have something magical happening, and that interferes with the B plot, which is Merida is now hosting the Festival of the Suitors, whatever that was. She's hosting it this time. She's grown, and she's like, I think it's finally time. But the boys are like, I don't think it's time for us, because if you go, what does that mean for us? I think seeing her grow into like a full-fledged adult would be so satisfying, because she's so immature in this film. And yes, she grows a lot by the end of the film, but I think it'd be really satisfying to see her fully grow into being that leader role. You know what I mean? I think that'd be really fun. And growing up and seeing her get married, especially now that it's so much later and the people who watched this are now at that age getting married, I think we could have like a Monsters University situation on our hands. You know what I mean? And also, I think Clan MacGuffin's he's a good candidate. I think it was set up like subtly in this movie. I think she'd be into it. And I want to see her take the throne. Not take the throne, but like be set up to take the throne. You know, and then the brothers, they can divide and conquer. One can be a scholar. One can be like an adventurer. And like the last one, oh, I'm going to go to the Lost Clan and like reestablish it and retake back that land. I just think it would be cool. Okay? I just think it'd be cool. And also, if we want to be daring, like now the suitors who step up, oh, the whole thing about you choose your own destiny. Maybe one of the firstborns didn't want to step up and he's like, well, I want to go do something else in my life. Okay, cool. Who else? Anyone else that wants to step up that's a good fit? It's a woman? If we want to be daring, I don't think that would happen. And also, I don't know if I would like if Merida was gay. I'm going so far on a tangent. I'm so sorry. But I do need to finish this thought. I don't know if I would like that she's gay, not because I'm being homophobic in June, I promise, but because I think that it would be very beneficial to see a princess who is still like the tomboy warrior, strong woman, and is still loved by a traditionally masculine man. You know what I mean? And we get that a bit with Mulan. A bit. And I want more of that. I want more of, you don't have to be a soft, pretty princess to be deserving of love. You know what I mean? That's just a me thing. That's the romance out there in me coming out. It's fine. Anyway. Also, on this video, the Princess Rings video, I got a comment about how much they hated Merida because she, like, is such an awful person. She wanted to hurt her mom. She wanted to turn her into a bear, blah, 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 blah. That's not what happens in this movie. Again, back to her being completely irresponsible. She's a teen girl who she feels backed into a corner. She doesn't want to change her mom. She wants her to change her mind. You know what I mean? She wants, if you can open your mind a little, you can see where I'm coming from type situation. Like, she's a teen girl who misunderstands that her mom is just as stubborn as she is, you know? And I think we all go through that. It's fine. This movie, it's a classic monkey paw situation, you know? And she instantly regrets it. She sees her mom turn and she goes, oh my God, okay, let's go fix it. I don't know. I really like that she's messy. She's a messy girl. And I love that. She's not a bad person. Like, leave my girlie alone. Anyway, to the ratings. Would I show this to my child alone? 3 out of 5. Bear scary. I mean, maybe my kids are really brave and they like big scary bears, but bear scary. But also, like, my kids are gonna be part Scottish, so, you know, maybe they're into it. But after a first viewing, if I knew that it wouldn't freak them out, yeah, no, I'm putting it on. Go away. Next, do I want her doll? 5 out of 5. She's so cute. She's so cute. Especially because she ends the movie with this really beautiful, like, dark teal. It's not as blue as the one she spends the movie in. It's a little more green, like almost an emerald tealy color. It's really pretty. Now imagine that with the holographic stripes that her mom's dress had at the beginning. That would work. It would work really well. I'm just saying. And her hair, it could look really good. And I know doll hairs, you know, don't have the best reputation, but if we're doing a $150 doll, imagine the best quality doll hair we can get. And we can give her like a little bear cub. I don't know why, but I think it's cute. But I don't know. This movie I think is so pretty, and I think the shades of green, the will-o'-the-wisp, this like the earthy like jewel tones are really beautiful, and that could translate really beautiful to a few different versions of her as a collector's doll. I love this doll. Next, for our IRL dolls, Merida for the 10th anniversary, again on asiadisney.com. She's gorgeous. And again, can we say how right your girl was with the color green? Do I wish she had bigger hair? Yes. Again, for $150, let her be voluminous. But I love the green, and it looks velvety and she looks soft. And it just looks like a formal version of the dress that she wears in the movie, an adult version, if you will. So 5 out of 5, I stand by it. Next, Is My Heart a Flutter? 0 out of 5. No romance, and it's better for it. I like that it has no romance. Is My Go Bag Packed? 4 out of 5. From the opening music to the scenery, it made me want to go to Scotland really bad. And I've been to Scotland. I went for my high school graduation. My uncle was graduating with his master's from the University of Edinburgh. So I went to Scotland. We graduated the same year. And then my brother, that same year, graduated with his first college degree. So 3 graduations we celebrated by going to Scotland. Beautiful place. Would love to go back. And this made me want to go back. Ugh, it's such a pretty movie. But also, not just go back to, like, the Scotland I went to, but to go to the Scottish countryside, to go to where this movie is. I want to go and run in the woods and frolic. Anyway, how hard did I cry? 5 out of 5, I was sobbing before the 30-minute mark. I hate it. I knew it was going to be a 5 out of 5 because this movie gets me in the heart. I cried the first time I watched it. I cried this time I watched it. I called my mom. I had to tell her I love her. It's like, it's fine. It's fine. We'll leave it at that. 5 out of 5. Did I dance in my seat? 1 out of 5. Because there's not a lot of music besides, like, the ambiance. And those songs were getting me like, okay, I feel it. I'm here. I'm down. I'm down to party. It really got the one because of its use of bagpipes, like, in the final climactic moment. I was like, okay, we're all in, I see. We're all in. All right. And me saying it out loud sounds kind of crazy, but they made it work. I was here for it. I really liked it. But because I wasn't dancing, I was more just, okay, I got it. It got a 1 out of 5. How evil is evil? 3 out of 5. There's no big bad unless you want to say the evil bear, because that bear is evil. But the true evil is like blind selfishness, you know what I mean? And that is worse emotionally than the big evil immortal bear. So 3 out of 5. Would this be made today? Also a 3 out of 5. I think morally it would, but I don't think that this made enough money for them to do a sequel, first off. And second, I think it's too unique and kind of out of left field where they wouldn't want to do it. You know what I mean? Since we are in the era of remakes and sequels, I think a story like this that doesn't have a tie-in to a traditional fairy tale or a classic story, I don't think it would be touched. And that sucks. But I love it. So 3 out of 5, making the final score 24, which that's not bad. I that feels right. And again, you could disagree with me on this. I will say this movie, my ratings I think are the most biased out of all of them, because it always makes me cry so hard because I love my mom, and the idea of losing my mom makes me want to violently throw up. But that could be just me. Let me know. Do you agree with my rating on Brave? Or think I'm full of shit? Anyway, next. Cinderella. Be honest, guys. Should I cosplay as Fairy Godmother? Yes or no? Do you think I would make it work? I love her. I love her quirky ass even more now that she's in Disney Dreamlight Valley. She's just weird. And you know me, I love a weird girl. I also really love Cinderella, hence the blue pumpkin. But you guys knew that already. But my nostalgia is not being taken into consideration with this one. And it wasn't being taken into consideration for Brave either. My feelings for Brave are not nostalgia. It's that movie hits an emotional chord with me, okay? I want that to be clear. We're not doing nostalgia. It's just a bias for emotional beats. So, with that in mind, for this movie, would I show it to my children alone? Yeah, 5 out of 5. It's a lovely little story. The bad guy isn't outright disturbing, so it's just a lovely little story. Do I want her doll? 5 out of 5. I think that there's a lot of beautiful imagery that could be okay, rude. Editing Percy popping in here for a quick second. You see that confused girl on the screen? Yeah, she's looking at her phone thinking, why does it say saving changes? That's so weird. And it was weird, and I should have started a new recording, and I'm kicking myself that I'm not, because from this moment on, my phone did not record a single moment of audio, even though it said it was. It wasn't. I watched it. I checked between every clip. No. The ticker kept going up, but no. It only saved 25 minutes. So, sorry. Don't know how it happened, but I'm never recording on my goddamn phone again. So from here on out, the audio is going to get worse, and you're going to hear some banging in the background. My father-in-law is changing tile, and I tried to talk around it, and I tried to edit around it, but there are moments where you're going to hear some loud, annoying banging. It doesn't last long, I promise. It does not last long, but I need to say I'm so sorry. This last half, it was hard to edit, looking at that dumbass on screen, holding her phone like a microphone, and it's recording nothing. But it's fine. It's fine. Okay, back to regular scheduled programming. Do I want her doll? 5 out of 5. It would be so sparkly and so pretty, and you have the option of the silver or the blue, or you could do like a bluey purple, which I know wouldn't be as iconic Cinderella, but I'm just thinking of this scene where they're on the bridge and it's like blues and purples, like that painting that's really famous. Like that's really pretty, and I feel like if we keep it in the color scheme, we can do a lot. It would be so sparkly, and that's all I need personally. Is my heart a flutter? 3 out of 5, and you could disagree with me on, because it wasn't a flutter, but I got a couple, like, you know, I got a couple thumps there. I love the idea of them, and because we have like the montage of them dancing for what is implied at least a song to a couple hours, you know what I mean? It's this ambiguous montage of them dancing and being in different parts of the castle. It's implied that they're hanging out and talking while we listen to the music, you know? And so that idea of this wonderful night of meeting someone in this like liminal space almost, just, it gets me. I love them. I do. Is my go bag packed? A 0.5 out of 5, our first half point, because it's not packed. Like I don't feel the urge to jump into my screen, but I kind of do for the ball. Like I want to dress up, I want to go to a ball, I want to waltz. Living in her house sounds really nice. It's a really pretty house. Like it's all really pretty and settings, and so I want to go for that, but there's no like adventure there, you know? It's like a nice daydream almost. It just has that dreamy quality about it, and I find that makes me have a dreamy quality about it, so it got a 0.5 for that reason. How hard did I cry? 0 out of 5, but I did flinch a little at the evil stepmother, like being a bitch, I'm not gonna lie. Did I dance in my seat? Another 0.5 out of 5. It's iconic music, but I wasn't even really rocking back and forth to it, and I've seen this movie more than I think any on this list. This is the movie I grew up with. That could be why. And I do embarrassingly go Cinderella, Cinderella fairly often, because it is a stim of mine every now and then. It gets in my head and I can't stop. So I wasn't jamming, but I did have an appreciation for it. Now, how evil is evil? 3 out of 5, because as a kid, it's not something that I really picked up on. But as an adult, it's a little upsetting when a stepmother is yelling at her. And like when the stepsisters are like ripping apart her dress and being just awful. It just made me really sad. Which, I mean, is a testament to the movie, I guess, because that's what you want in a kid film. Something that kids like, aren't upset by, but still get the moral, but then adults can also appreciate it for different reasons, you know what I mean? And I will say, I know that Anastasia in the sequels gets with a baker, and the sequels, Cinderella 2 and Cinderella 3: A Twist in Time, those two movies are the sole reason why I want to do this video, but using the sequel movies. for those 2 movies alone. So if you want it, please let me know down below. Give it a like, give me a comment, wish me happy birthday. Just let me know. I mean, I'm probably gonna do it anyway, but next, would this be made today? 2 out of 5. Yeah, it would be, and they did. And it scored a 2 because they got rid of Cinderella's like sassy outburst and made her only kind and only demure. And I think it works for the Cinderella story. Like it works, it makes sense. Because in the original Disney Cinderella, she is a little sassy. She has like a little like outburst, which I really like. And if they had let her be a little sassy, it would have scored a 1. But because they didn't, 2. For a total score of 18. And yeah, that feels right. It's a lovely movie. I like it a lot, and I like her a lot. But story-wise, like, it's pretty simple, and it feels really short, which I don't think it is. All of these movies are around the 90-minute mark. Like, they're all pretty simple. Like, they're all pretty in that ballpark. And that could be because I've seen this movie so much, but either way, 18. Next, Snow White. So the second this movie started playing, I realized, oh man, I don't want to watch this movie again. I just watched it, if you missed it. I did this video of what makes a good Snow White, where we read the original fairy tale, we watch Disney Snow White, we watch Snow White and the Huntsman, and then we watch something else. Oh, and then the new Disney Snow White. I also watched Sydney White, and I almost watched Mirror Mirror, but I couldn't get a copy of it. So I've consumed a lot of Snow White, and I wrote a 38-page script comparing and contrasting and analyzing the story of what makes Snow White at its core and how you do a remake, blah, 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 blah. So because of that, this movie started playing, and I was like, oh my god. And then on top of all of that, after I finish the video, after I finish editing, I upload it, I go to pottery. I want to read a book to like decompress from Snow White. It was a witch murder mystery book, and the fucking characters were based around the 7 dwarves. And I couldn't change it because my hands were covered in clay and my phone was in my back pocket. And for a second I was like, this is hell. I can't escape. I cannot escape Snow White. Oh my god. And I considered not watching it and just doing the rating based off what I remembered. But I couldn't do that for the integrity of the video. And because of this comment. I'm so pretty, but Snow White's not a good movie. I had to check. Is it actually not a good movie? So let's find out. Would I show it to my children alone? 3 out of 5. I would hesitate, and I would kind of want to watch it with them for the first time, simply because so many people online and in my real life that I grew up knowing have talked to me about how the forest scene in Snow White terrified them as children. And for that reason alone, I would want to be in the room when my kids are watching it, you know what I mean? But morally, the only objection I really have to the movie is the use of the word dwarf. Only because I would want to be like, by the way, don't call people that. You know what I mean? That's not what we use in real life. That is a fantasy term. That is not for real people. So for all those reasons, a 3 out of 5. Do I want her doll? I give it a 2 out of 5 because I think her design is very sweet, but it's a little simple, and I've seen a few different variations of limited auditions of her over the years, and they all stay pretty simple, you know what I mean? And I was thinking about that and thinking about the movie, and it's like, yeah, that's all it really can be. It's simple and it's sweet and it's enjoyable for sure, but I don't feel the need to have her. Maybe secondhand, maybe open box, would I be tempted? Especially because I think about this formal version of her, and I think this one's really pretty. Like, this doll is really pretty. But there's nothing interesting that they can do with her. You know, she's always gonna look just like this. And that's okay. And that's perfectly fine if you love Snow White. There's nothing wrong with that. But for that, a 2 out of 5. Is my heart aflutter? 0 out of 5. Bye, Prince. Next, is my go bag packed? It's a 1 out of 5 for me, because it's not a go bag, but like, I think I got a picnic basket calling my name, you know what I mean? Like, I could go for an apple pie right about now, you know? So 1 out of 5. Next, how hard did I cry? 0 out of 5. Not even a shimmer. Next, did I dance in my seat? 1 out of 5, because Whistle While You Work, it got my head bobbing a little bit, but I had to take into account my bias because I grew up with my mom singing Whistle While You Work whenever we had to like sweep and mop the house. So I also do that now. Next, how evil is evil? 5 out of 5, baby, because bring me the carved out heart of this sweet, innocent child, because the slave in my mirror told me that one day she's gonna be prettier than me, is never going to not be evil. That's insane. That is wild. And I know I've talked about this, but in the remake, in the box, the huntsman puts an apple in the box, but in the original movie, he does put a heart in there, and so she opens it, checks, sees a heart, and is like, like she's happy that she has the carved out heart of a sweet innocent child. Insane. Now, would this be made today? Say it with me. 1 out of 5. Yes, 1 out of 5. Because it was. Now, should it be made today? Yes. Was it? No. They wanted to make something else, got backlash, then they tried to backpedal, and then what came out was something that no one wanted, not even them. It could have been really good, it could have been really iconic, it could have been a reflection of the time that we are in, about needing friendship and trusting one another, but whatever, it's fine! Anyway, if you want to hear my detailed thoughts, please go watch my Snow White video. Thank you. Also, I will delete any hate comments I get about Rachel Ziegler, especially if they're being racist. Because saying Snow White needs to be white because of her name is like saying Superman needs to be white, even though he's the definition of an illegal alien making the world a better place. Saying they need to be white is a bastardization and a gross misunderstanding of the original source material. Fight me. Final score, 13. Next. Beauty and the Beast. I love this movie. I do. I don't watch it often. I don't watch many of these movies often. I know I say that like I'm a Disney adult. Da, 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 da. I have the Snow White cup. Blah 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 blah. But I really don't watch these movies that often. It's like once in a blue moon. And with this movie, every time I watch it, I'm like, damn, this is a good movie. And fun fact, it's been like a week since I've seen all these movies, and I'm like, I don't want to watch any movie ever again. Please delete Disney Plus off every device I have. I can't do this anymore. But I was scrolling to watch Ironheart for my birthday, and Beauty and the Beast popped up, and I was like, I can watch Beauty and the Beast. And if that isn't a glowing review for the movie, I don't know what is. But it's Stockholm Syndrome, the movie. I hear someone screaming from the back row. Mods, escort that man out. Because that's Baby's first argument, and it's wrong. It's a misunderstanding of what Stockholm Syndrome is. Stockholm Syndrome, according to Google's AI summary, a psychological response where victims of a traumatic event, like kidnapping or abuse, develop positive feelings or emotional attachment to their captors or abusers. Symptoms include affection or emotional attachment to the abuser, attempting to help the abuser, distrust or anger towards those trying to help the victim escape, rationalizing the abuse or seeing it as kindness, and feeling powerless to leave the situation. Thank you. And I do joke that it was Google's AI summary, but I did like double check the sources linked through that, because you can double check the sources. So I did double check those. I just wanted to make a hee hee ha ha. I'm sorry. But then I realized it sounds stupid. Anyway, and I bring all this up because I think calling this movie Stockholm Syndrome the movie is kind of damaging, and it can be used to invalidate the experience of individuals who might be going through a Stockholm Syndrome like experience. And I use that wording because please keep in mind that Stockholm Syndrome is not actually technically a health diagnosis, but it's rather a phenomenon that is known to happen. So And I think that the trickle-down effect of looking at this movie through that lens of, oh, it's Stockholm Syndrome, leads people to believe that these are the moments where our heroes fall in love. For those who are listening and are too busy painting and crocheting, you don't need to look up. It's an image of Beast looming over Belle when she's saving him from the wolves, and an image of Belle tending his wounds after the fact. But in reality, those are not the moments where they fall in love. These are the moments where they fall in love. I forgot what images I picked, so I hope voiceover Percy did a good job. And in my personal opinion, as a romance author, the reason why I think that this does not count as Stockholm Syndrome is because Belle doesn't try to help her abuser, in the sense where there's never a point where she's like, what can I do for you? The only time that she really helps him is like after he saves her life and she cleans his wounds, because like, yeah, you saved my life. Yeah, alright, I'll put a bandage on you, you know what I mean? After that, there's never her being like, can I clean, can I cook, blah 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 blah. She's like, okay, I guess I live here now. There's never distrust or anger towards those who are trying to help her escape. And by that I mean when Gaston rallies the village people to come and kill the beast, she's not mad at them because, oh, they're doing it in my honor. She's mad at them because, Gaston, I'm still not gonna sleep with you. God, you tried to throw my dad into a mental asylum. God! And nor is there any rationalization of abuse as kindness. She only thinks he's kind when he's actually kind to her, not when he's like throwing a temper tantrum. When he's throwing a temper tantrum, she's the first one to be like, you're being a bitch. Stop it. Anyway, I have so many more thoughts. I can go on forever. I can and have been going on about this movie forever and ever and ever. I really hope I edited out some of that. Sorry. I just have a lot of opinions. But next time someone tries to tell you that Beauty and the Beast is a Stockholm Syndrome the movie, you can look at them and say, you know, it's okay to admit you don't know what Stockholm Syndrome is, right? You don't have to pretend. Rating time. Would I show this to my children alone? 4 out of 5. Like, I wouldn't mind if my kids saw this on their own, it came on the TV, they saw it at daycare at a friend's house. I would want, personally, I would want to be there to be able to talk to them about the beast and emotional regulation. But that's like a really hyper specific personal thing. Because I am someone with bad emotional regulation. I'm not embarrassed to admit that. I get overwhelmed and I get overstimulated, and I'm every day learning how to deal with that. And I hope that when I have kids, I have a much stronger grasp. I think I have a pretty strong grasp, but a much stronger grasp on that, and it's something that I want to teach my kids from the beginning. And I think that Beauty and the Beast would be a good movie to like start that conversation, you know? Again, please remember I do not have children and all these thoughts are idealized, and I know that once I have children, it'll be a much different story because children are children and they're unpredictable. Anyway, next, do I want her doll? 5 out of 5. I do, but not just the yellow dress. Actually, the yellow dress is probably the one that I would be interested in the least, even though I think it's the most iconic one. But like her in her blue or green or pink dress, any of those I'd be so much more interested in. The pink with the cape, hello, like cute. And genuinely, I think it's because of the swish. Like, they draw her with such a beautiful swish and swash and back and forth. Like, the movement in her dress while she's walking and spinning through town is so satisfying to see. And it kind of reminded me of food in an anime. Because you know how food always looks so scrumdiddlyumptious whenever it's animated, and it just, oh my god, it looks so good and it makes you so hungry. Yeah, her dress is kind of like that, and it does that to me. I want her doll for the swish, even though I know it won't swish like that, but I want it. Also, like a Belle doll with little books or with roses or a bird, like the imagery in this movie is just so pretty and so right up my alley, as it is for most girly pops. We love to read, okay? Next, is my heart aflutter? 4 out of 5. Sorry. I'm not gonna apologize. I think I've seen this movie enough that I don't get like the full flutter anymore, but that doesn't mean it's not flutter worthy. Specifically when Beast is trying to make friends with the birds in front of Belle. That's the moment where I was like, oh, I'm in love. I'm in love. I love him. I love him to pieces. Or when Belle picks up the bowl to slurp so he wouldn't feel awkward. Like, they're just, I kind of want to make a what makes video on Beauty and the Beast. Next, is my go bag packed? 0 out of 5, which kind of surprised me because of course I want to escape to this beautiful castle in the forest or like this beautiful grand library. Like, of course I want to go to those places, but I didn't feel the pull to want to go, you know? Like, if you asked me, do you want to go, I'd say yes, but I didn't leave the movie going, I wish I could go there, you know? So 0 out of 5. Next, how hard did I cry? Also 0 out of 5. I don't think I've ever cried watching this movie, like even as a child when I watched it for the first time. I don't think I ever believed that the beast died. Next, did I dance in my seat? 5 out of 5. Okay. Okay, so I need to be completely vulnerable with you guys for a second. I'm gonna peel back the curtain and let you in on a little secret. I was watching this movies while working on other projects. So either I'm typing out the script, doing the rating while I'm watching the movie to get as many fresh thoughts as possible, which that was usually the case for movies that I hadn't seen in a while. But with movies that I was more familiar with, like Beauty and the Beast, like Cinderella, like The Little Mermaid, I was usually crocheting or knitting something. Or I was dreamlight farming in Disney Dreamlight Valley in preparation for the Peter Pan update. Anyway, not important. And for this movie in particular, I was dreamlight farming. So I'm in this chair like this, playing on my little Switch, having a good time. And the music started playing, and without thinking about it, I was in my chair like a fucking dweeb, having a great time, and I completely forgot about the rubric. I was just so excited to like, oh, I'm gonna watch like this cute little movie and play my cute little game and just have a break from the world for just a second. I was so excited. And then I remembered that I had to, like, oh shit, I need to be paying attention. And because of that, for that reason alone, I'm giving out my first 5 out of 5 in the dancing/music category of the video, which I didn't think I was gonna give out any, if I'm completely honest, because this is the criteria that I am most strict for, because I love to dance. I love to do a little jig. So sorry, I need to lay down. I think my rib came out of place. I'm fine, don't worry about it. How evil is evil? 4 out of 5 for Gaston. And not because he's just like a bad guy, but because he's actually pretty vile and a little too real. Personally, I've had too many men talk to me and act like I should be grateful that they're talking to me, and then when I, 1, don't understand what they're doing, 2, I'm not grateful for them talking to me, they get upset and they call me ugly. So it gave me a bit of a complex throughout my life, but it's fine. Next, would this be made today? 3 out of 5, because I think people have lost the nuance of Beauty and the Beast. There are countless variations of the story. There will continue to be more countless variations of the story, whether it be direct interpretations, very loose dark romance interpretations, what have you. It's always going to be around to some degree. But like I said, I think we've lost the nuance of it. For the most part, not everyone, but a lot of people. And honestly, I'm considering doing what makes on Beauty and the Beast. So let me know your thoughts on that, because I'm probably going to do it anyway, because I got a lot to say. So anyway, final score, 25. Next, Raya and the Last Dragon. So we got dystopian princesses now. Hello? And like a really cool one at that. Like, why did no one tell me? Why did y'all keep this from me? Because all y'all who said that this movie is a bad movie, y'all are some goddamn dirty liars. Because this is a good movie 85% of the time. And I'm gonna be so fair with you guys. I was putting off watching this movie, partially because I had heard it so bad, and partially because at this point my cat had been to the emergency room. Because of all that piling on, I was really like not looking forward to watching this movie, and I don't think it deserves the level of criticism that I've seen it get. But in that same breath, I completely understand why people don't like it, and because fuck, it's kind of hard to watch. Also, I want to let it be known that I was talking to an ex-coworker about the movie Encanto and how it's such a good movie, and he proceeded to talk shit on Lin-Manuel Miranda and say that Raya and the Last Dragon was basically did the same story as Encanto, but Raya did it better. And to that coworker who probably is not watching this, and even if you are, 1, hi, but 2, what the fuck were you on about? That doesn't make a lick of sense. That's not true. And also, I will not stand for hate on Lin-Manuel Miranda on this page. But 2, what the fuck were you on about? That doesn't make sense. Like, at all. They're very different movies. Anyway, I don't know if that's a take you saw online and just kind of agreed with it without watching Encanto, but like, let's just get into it. So, would I show this to my children alone? 5 out of 5. I don't have a single problem if my imaginary children were to come across this movie alone. I think the moral about trust and the way to build community is that you need to be the one to take the first step to build bridges and to trust people so that way they can trust you. I think that's a really mature concept that's done in a really child-friendly way, which is really impressive to me. Often I think about stories and how there are morals that the moral itself is child-friendly, but how do you tell the story without it getting too complicated? And so the fact that this movie accomplished that, I thought very, very impressive, done very skillfully. And even the way they show that the different villages or clans, I don't remember the term that's used, it's village, clan, or tribe. I want to say it's just village. Like, even the way that they show the 5 different villages fighting, while yes, it's people being selfish, it's never people being selfish for evil reasons. It's always out of a want to help their people and to keep their people prosperous, because I think that's the only way to do so, right? The road to hell is paved with good intentions, which I like. It doesn't villainize them, but still shows them as a opposing force, which is, it's just impressive. Next, do I want her doll? This one's hard. I put a 2.5 out of 5 because, don't get me wrong, I love Raya. I love her design. Her sword is so cool. The outfit she wears throughout the movie, the cape, the hat, she looks good. Her hair, good. Like, I really like her, and I like her as a character, and I think the movie has some really beautiful imagery and colors and the use of water and this like vibrant plant life that we see throughout, and then the night markets with the bright lanterns and the tapestries and everything, and the different villages that are represented by different colors and different textures. Like, the movie is gorgeous. I think it's so pretty. As a doll, I don't know how that would translate to a single doll. You know what I mean? Like I have trouble seeing how we could elevate her outfit to encapsulate those beautiful themes and motifs and still have it feel like Raya. And I might have felt a little different if we ever saw her in like a formal outfit as an adult, because as a kid we see her in that beautiful blue like romper thing, and we see her dad in a beautiful blue set and like other people at her village, but we never see her as an adult in something similar. And so I can only picture her in her like battle princess outfit, which is really cool, but as a collector's $150 doll, I don't know if it's there, you know what I mean? Yeah, I just think since this movie unfortunately takes place in a more dystopian setting, and it's an amalgamation of a bunch of different East Asian cultures all in one movie, I think it's hard to distill that big of a concept with all of those themes down to just one doll of Raya and still make it feel like, oh, that's Raya, if we get rid of the name tag, which sucks, you know? And I feel that way about the movie as a whole. Like, I feel like it's kind of hard to talk about because the theme is trust, yes, but there's a lot that goes into that, and they show a lot that goes into that. So talking about it with like my brother who hadn't seen the movie, and I'm trying to tell him what I like and what I don't like, and he keeps trying to cut me off to ask questions, and I just be like, wait, hold on, I need more context, wait, hold on, I need more context, you know what I mean? It's just a lot, which I like. I just have trouble seeing it into a single aesthetic, into a single doll. I think I've said that 3 different ways, and I'm sure that there is a talented artist out there who could make that work and still have it feel like Raya, but immediately after watching the movie, and even now, I'm having a hard time picturing what a $150 collector edition doll of Raya would look like. My brain wants to pull a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Let's throw a little bit of Sisu's colors in there, and then it just gets muddy. Just gets muddy every single time. So 2.5. As a side note, do I want like a Target doll of her? Maybe. I think her sword is really cool, and if there was a way to actually extend the sword and clip, I'm just saying, that'd be really cool. Anyway, next, is my heart aflutter? 3 out of 5. I bet you thought I was gonna say 0 because there is no romance in this story. But every time Raya and Amari are on screen together, I feel like I'm intruding on something and I want to excuse myself. I wrote, were the actresses in the same room? Because why do they have so much chemistry? And no, actually. So I knew the movie came out in 2021, but I didn't know anything about the production cycle. So for a little bit I thought, or I had assumed, that it was originally going to come out in 2020 and the release date was just pushed back to 2021. No, it was actually worked on and produced throughout the 2020 lockdown, and so everyone was working from home. And so the actresses actually recorded their lines in their own little pop-up tents. They were sent little tents and little closets to put in their house, and they recorded it by themselves. And so that makes it so much more impressive that Raya and Amari have such chemistry. Oh my god. And part of that does come down to the writing. They're written, both of them, with a lot of nuance and with a lot of love and care, and that comes through the performances. So those two actresses, I'm going to put their names on screen now because I forgot to look it up before I clicked record. Those two actresses are incredibly talented. So good for them. Holy cow. Now you know, is my heart aflutter does not just boil down to romance. It literally means, is my heart aflutter? Next, is my go bag packed? 1 out of 5. So this one's tough. The world is gorgeous. It is absolutely stunning. But a lot of the movie takes place during a not great time in history where a lot of people are trapped in stone. And I said, like, yeah, no, we have a dystopian princess. It takes place a lot during a dystopian setting. And the beginning and the ending of the movie have scenes where they're in this world at full swing and it's beautiful and it's gorgeous. And in those moments, I want to be there. But for the rest of the movie, not so much, unfortunately. And there is this huge theme about water and this visual about rain and about water washing away, and they're on a river for a little bit, and and Sisu is the water dragon. So for those things, it's like, yeah, I do want to go put my feet in the river. Yeah, I do want to go sit on that boat with you. Man, that night market does look really cool to walk around. And for those moments, that's why I got the 1. Because those moments still exist. But it's not something I thought about during the movie or even immediately after. It's something I thought about later when I was revisiting to make sure my notes were correct. So the go bag is a little interested. It's there, but only in sparing bits, unfortunately. Next, how hard did I cry? Got a 1.5 out of 5. This one shocked me too. I didn't think I was gonna cry during this movie. But the moment that Amari sees Sisu for the first time and looks in her eyes and they look at each other, it is such a beautiful moment of reverence. And like the way that I described it to my brother was, she looks like she's looking into the eyes of her God, and that God is looking back at her with the same amount of tender love and care. And it's wonderful. And I refuse to lie about this or to keep this to myself, even though it sounds kind of silly for such a short moment in the wider scheme of the movie. But I got misty-eyed. That 2-3 second moment that they share got me emotional. It's my favorite part of the movie. And then Sisu starts talking and I am catapulted out of the movie back into my chair, and I'm just reminded that, oh my god, Awkwafina's playing Sisu. Man. God. And that was the moment that solidified my opinion on this movie. But I'll talk about that in just a second. Next, did I dance in my seat? 3 out of 5. There's no real musical numbers in this, but the soundtrack slaps. The same way, like, I really like the Brave soundtrack with like the interesting use of the bagpipes and the call to action. You know what I mean? The, oh, we're going, man. The soundtrack is a very similar, like, yes. Ooh, what's going on? Yeah, But it also has a really good use of drums. And if there's anything I learned while doing this video, is that I think I just really like drums. Because you feel it in your chest when things are happening. The fight scenes are happening and you're like, ooh, yeah, it's good. It just is. It just is. Next, how evil is evil? 3 out of 5. There is no evil villain. There's no big bad. But the evil and the conflict that exists in this movie is us fighting our own demons. So 3 out of 5 for that, man. Next, would this be made today? Another 3 out of 5. So this movie, it's only a couple years old, but the story about humans being their own worst villains absolutely would be made today. I'm gonna finish reading my script for this, and then I'm gonna add a fresh thought at the very end. So I was saying that it would be made today, but ironically, since this movie didn't do well, and a couple of other not super successful original ideas, it feels like Disney's hesitant to make original stories anymore, so it probably wouldn't be made in 2005. Not only that, but like a story about humans being our own worst enemies. I feel like there are going to be a lot of creative individuals who are going to want to make stories like that, and who are going to have stories to tell about that inner turmoil and the demons that we face, and how that leads to conflict between other humans. And I could very easily see that not being made, because no, that's too real, that's too much, you know what I mean? But stories like that are even more important in this day and age, you know? So I think 3 out of 5 is still appropriate. And I think if you are struggling like me and like many others, I think this movie might be a good one to watch, because it has a happy ending. So but that gave this movie a total of 22. And now unfortunately but unfortunately I have to do something completely unprecedented, and I have to subtract 3 points for the casting of Awkwafina. And I want to make it very, very clear, and I'm going to try to keep this brief. I do not have a problem with Awkwafina as a person or as a comedian. There are many projects that I've seen that I like her in, and I don't think she does anything bad. She's just never my favorite actress in any project that I've seen so far. And this project specifically, every time she started talking, like I said, I got catapulted out of the movie and back into my chair, which is, you know, it's a nice chair, but I don't want to think about this when I'm watching a movie. And it's not just the dialogue, even though the dialogue is kind of awful. And if anything, I think it's her biggest op, but rather it's the acting choices that really bothered me so much. She takes this very surface level approach to the character of Sisu, and she might not know that she is. She might be thinking, you know, I say I have a background in performing arts. I have a degree in acting, so I studied musical theater, I studied acting for commercial, acting for film, and voice acting. And with voice acting, if there's one thing I learned, is that it will show every flaw. If you think that you know how to act, no you don't. Not until you've tried voice acting. Because there is no physical body to hide behind. It's all your voice, it's all your intention, it's all the emotion that you hold within yourself, right? And because of that, because I don't think she is the best actress around, I think her in a voice acting role really only highlights the worst parts, which is a very surface level take of the character. And it kind of always feels like she's playing a character. And there's just no emotional weight behind her performance, and for a story this heavy, it needs to have that weight to it. It almost feels like she's trying to channel Eddie Murphy's Mushu, but without understanding why the character of Mushu works. And that's because he has these grounding emotional moments with Mulan. Yeah, with Mulan. I almost said Mushu. He has these grounding emotional moments with Mulan, but he still feels different than everyone else. He's kind of always giving the vibes that I am thousands of years old. I am a guardian, I'm a dragon. What do you have to do with me? You know? And he never wavers from that. Horse, cow, same thing. Man, woman, I don't give a shit. Mulan, the descendant of the family that I'm sworn to protect and the very reason for my existence, her I care about. I care about bringing her home. I care about bringing honor to the family. I care that she stays alive, and that's kind of it. I don't give a shit what the big black and white thing is called. Could be a panda for all I know. And Sisu has that on paper, but she doesn't feel like that in the movie because when she talks about the things that she cares about, humans, people, her family, she could also kind of just be talking about what she had for lunch, you know? There's no emotional weight nor charisma to her performance. And that sucks because she's playing the water dragon, and water is the life force of the world and of this culture. And there are moments where it's almost there. And now having some hindsight and knowing that this was produced during 2020 and that she recorded most of her, if not all of her lines in the privacy of her own home with no one there to kind of bounce off of, not saying another actor, but like not even having a director there to kind of guide her through some different choices. Yeah, that makes a lot more sense. She just doesn't come off as an experienced voice actor, and that sucks. And it's only highlighted more because the actress playing Raya is giving the performance of a lifetime. She is so, so good. I cannot state that enough. She is so good. And so, with all that being said, we got a final score of 19. Next, Sleeping Beauty. So, is this my new favorite Disney princess? I don't know, but I think she's a contender. So I had only ever watched this movie in high school out of curiosity because I didn't grow up watching it. I'd missed it. And like Snow White, I was like, oh, well, I want to know. But other people grew up watching her and other people really liked her and I wanted to know why. And so I knew the story. I know how the movie goes, but I had forgotten just how lovely it is. Like, I don't know, something about this movie is soft and cozy and it makes me feel like I'm watching a movie probably in a chair just as comfy, wrapped up with a blanket in that beautiful cottage in the forest with just my loved one around, you know? I got a little warm drink, the fire's going, like that's the vibe that this movie gives me. And everything about Aurora is very sweet and enjoyable. I like her vibe. I just like her, I do. And I think that she's really pretty and her eyes are purple, which is cool. Very Alexandria Genesis of her. Don't know how that's come up two videos in a row, but it has. And I don't know if they're meant to be blue, but they come off purple, which I think is a fun Easter egg if it's true. And fun fact, out of all of the Disney princesses, the only one I've ever been tempted to cosplay as is Aurora because I really want to make her dress using geochrome fabric between pink and blue. Oh, I've wanted to do it for years and now I want to do it even more. Anyway, it doesn't help that Aurora is also coming to Disney Dreamlight Valley soon, so I'm like really into Aurora right now, okay? On to the ratings. Would I show it to my children alone? 5 out of 5. Sweet, simple story, beautiful aesthetics. Maleficent has enough flair that she's a little scary, but it's more dramatic flair. You know, there's more showmanship to it. Plus I think in the final battle where she's the big dragon, I think having Philip there with the sword and the shield and the fairies is enough protection, like enough comfort that there's gonna be a happy ending, you know what I mean? And again, like always, kids need to know that dragons can be slain. I think this is where I got that phrase from. Anyway, do I want her doll? 4 out of 5. So if she's pink, I don't think I'd be as interested. But if she's in blue, I'd be very, very interested. Almost she's like a shiny Pokemon. And she also has an option for a sparkly ombre, two-toned, maybe duochrome dress, and I think that's really fun because of the make it blue, make it pink. And I would love that. And if you're thinking, I don't know, would they do like an ombre two-tone dress? Is that too daring for a princess doll, especially since she's supposed to be only pink in all of their marketing? Yes, they would, because they did it right here. This is the Masquerade collection from fall 2019.
And for our next IRL doll,
I found this version of Aurora, which also has the blue and pink ombre effect. A little bit different than the one I showed in the photo from the Masquerade collection. But the blue to pink ombre is on the table, is all I'm saying. And I was trying really hard to not look up past special edition collector's dolls, to not like muddy my own thought process. But I wanted to show an example to my brother, and this came up in like one of the search results, and so I just, oh, I love it. I have it in my mind and I love it, and Philip's there too, so I guess that's cool. But and also this one came up. I hope editing person can find it. The white one, the special 100 one, that one's also kind of cool. And also, like, I've seen versions of her like peasant dress where she's in like more of a maroony pink, and that also really works with the red cape and the nature and the basket. And again, I love a princess with a basket. I guess if you have a basket, you get at least 1 point, I will say. So the whole aesthetic of Sleeping Beauty, I am a big fan of. Next is My Heart Aflutter. 4 out of 5, and this one you can disagree with me on, and I would get it. I would completely get it. But let me defend myself, because I have reasoning. I'm a romantic, as we know. So the fact that they fall in love before they know that they're betrothed, and Philip is ready and willing to call off the engagement, which is a kingdom unifying treaty, like, that's a big deal, in order to marry for love for this woman that he met in the forest, and they danced, and the whole, and I know we're ignoring the fact that you can't fall in love over the course of a single song. I know, but I can't help but fall for what this movie's trying to tell us. It's really easy to like wave that away, that's only one song, because of the notion, I know you, I've walked with you once upon a dream. So hand wave away, I guess. I think that's really sweet and a little like magical. And I know it's not true. I know it's not true. They haven't actually met in dreams. I get that. But I like to imagine that it is. And so for that, 2 out of 5. Next is My Go Bag Packed. Again, a 2 out of 5. I want to have a picnic in the forest. It's so cute. It's so cute. And I would kill someone with my own 2 hands to live in this cottage. These hands. I'd kill you with these hands right here to have that cottage. It's so pretty. Oh my god. Next, How Hard Did I Cry? 1 out of 5. Shocking, I know. I didn't think any of the OG girlies would get me teary-eyed, but I got a little misty-eyed when the fairies got emotional and they realized that Aurora's now 16. Because at 16, she moves away, she moves back into the castle. And that means that they won't have their Rose anymore. She's not their Rose anymore. She's Aurora now. And that's really, they got teary-eyed and I got teary-eyed. I was like, no. I don't think that it's the same thing as like a parent crying when their kid goes away to college. She literally won't be their Rose anymore. That won't be her name. Her name is now Aurora. She doesn't belong to them in any sense anymore. And they raised her. And that's really, really sweet. And in my heart, she brings them with her to the castle. Golly, they stay with her forever. That's their baby. My spine hurts. Ugh. Next, Did I Dance in My Seats? 1 out of 5. I swayed a little to Once Upon a Dream, and I think it's just because the romantic in me. I know you, I walked with you once upon a dream. It's an iconic song. It is, okay? And I will say, I did get that song stuck in my head for the rest of the night. I don't know why. It's the only movie where that happened. Next, How Evil is Evil? 4 out of 5 for cursing a baby into a coma out of pettiness. I can't help but to respect the hustle. Go off, queen. Next, Would This Be Made Today? 2 out of 5. This is a weird one. So, since Maleficent was made, I don't think anyone would want to touch the story of Sleeping Beauty at this moment in time. But I also think that no one will want to make it because of the true love's kiss cures a coma thing. One, Maleficent did it better. Everyone tries to make their own take on it, and at a certain point it feels like, okay, we've done all the takes. If you're gonna do it, just commit to it. Pick one and commit to it. Don't try to be subversive for subversive's sake. Tell a story you want to tell, and if that includes true love's kiss healing a coma, earn the true love's kiss heals a coma. Whether that be a best friend true love, a romantic true love, or parental familial true love. Say it with your chest. Anyway, I don't think there's anything morally that would make this movie untouchable. I just think marketability. I can't imagine someone putting in the work to remake this one just yet. Watch them announce Sleeping Beauty remake in like 2026. But if we do a Sleeping Beauty remake before we do, what's left out of the remakes? I have a graph. Oh shit. We might be due for a Sleeping Beauty remake. The only options left are Tangled, Princess and the Frog, and Brave or Pocahontas, Angel and Pocahontas. But shit, we might be due for a Sleeping Beauty remake. If they announce a Sleeping Beauty remake, we know that they're officially scraping the bottom of the barrel. Cause I don't think that they, no, with Maleficent still being in, no, I don't think they would. Anyway, final score, 22. Next, The Little Mermaid. Ariel really is just that girl, okay? She just is. I liked The Little Mermaid growing up. I did. But she was never my favorite, and I have distinct memories of her being the favorite of most girls that I knew growing up and as an adult, like in college. Most girls loved Ariel, and rewatching it now, because again I haven't watched these in years, I get it. I love her. And fun fact, the last time I watched this movie was actually in the Castro Theater in San Francisco with a couple friends. So if you don't know, the Castro Theater, it's in the Castro District. The Castro District, super gay. It's great. And the theater is very famous and does special screenings and fun screenings all the time. And the theater, I think, actually got bought and is now privately owned. It's not closed. Castro Theater. No, okay, it's being renovated. I was like, no, it's not closed, but I remembered something about it not having showings right now. But they do like special event screenings, and you can always count on it being a really good time. It's always fun. And also, weird fun fact, in that theater is where I watched Spaceballs for the first time before I ever watched any Star Wars movie. I watched a double screening of Spaceballs and Blazing Saddles. Anyway, Little Mermaid. When I went, it was a special edition sing-along version. And so when you walked in, you got a little goodie bag, and in the goodie bag it had like a plastic, like a cardboard crown, and then it had bubbles and like a few little other things, right? And I think it might have had like poppers for the ending, but it wasn't just a normal sing-along. It was a special call and response sing-along. And think of Rocky Horror Picture Show. Audience participation, right? So at certain points you blew bubbles. I think when they're getting married, you blow bubbles, like when they finally kiss. Whenever Max showed up, you were supposed to bark. You're supposed to boo whenever Ursula's on screen, stuff like that. And I remember having a lot of fun, but I don't super remember watching the movie in detail because of the call and response. I had never done it before. But I'd never done it before, so I was really scared of doing it wrong. And I was there with my cool friend who was super, super sweet, and she wouldn't have noticed or cared. But she was my cool friend, and so I didn't want to embarrass myself in front of her, especially since she was the one who invited me. Like, I was trying to be cool, okay? I was trying to be cool and I was trying to fit in, so I don't super remember watching the story. Anyway, I bring this all up to say that I don't remember this story being this tight of a story. But it is. It's a surprisingly tight story without sacrificing emotional beats. Hello? Plus, the aesthetic is gorgeous and Ariel is just a 16-year-old girl. Like, it's hard not to have a fun time while watching this movie. So let's get into it. Would I show it to my kids alone? 5 out of 5. Yeah. No, I don't have a problem with my imaginary children watching this movie. The only moment that might be too scary for children is when Ursula gets really big and, like, wants to kill people. But I think that the movie having her have a musical number that's like kind of upbeat, and yes, she's being evil, but it's a lot of fun. I think them having that, it normalizes her character and her use of magic. So when she does get really big and scary, it's not out of nowhere. It's like, oh, that's just Ursula. Yeah, she's the evil sea witch. That's what she's gonna do. You know what I mean? It doesn't take you by surprise. It's never jarring. And I don't have any memories of this scaring anyone else when I was a child. I know it didn't scare me, but I don't have any memory of it like terrifying someone as a kid. If it scared you, like, let me know. Cause I'd be really curious if it did. Next, do I want her doll? 5 out of 5. She's not my favorite princess by a long shot. But I know her doll would be gorgeous. The aesthetic of the movie, it is stunning. They have so many beautiful like color combos and motifs and just themes to pull from. So even outside of her normal pink dress slash teal dress, they could do something using blue from her blue dress with a big bow in her hair. They could do something using the purple and teal combo from her mermaid outfit. Like if they want, they can do the yellow dress from the Little Mermaid 2, Melody's Adventure. Is it Melody's Adventure? They got options, okay? And that's not even including her ending beautiful sparkly silver dress, which I desperately want to be acknowledged by Disney. Like, hello? If you're currently playing Disney Dreamlight Valley in the summer of 2025, are you in agreement with me that Ariel should have gotten a dream style instead of Minnie? And it could have been either her teal dress or her sparkling silver dress. Discuss below. Thank you. Next was my Heart of Flutter, 4 out of 5. Ariel and Eric match each other's freak. It never occurred to me how odd it is that they get married in 3 days. It's never occurred to me how odd it is that they get married after 3 days, I think. I think that's the implication anyway. Because she falls for him without him talking. Then he falls for her without her talking, while also still pining over her as a fish. Then he goes to marry Vanessa. They defeat her and then they get married. And that's crazy fast. But it doesn't feel like it. Because we see them spend time together and we see them fall for each other over and over. And so it feels like they have more time getting to know one another than I think they actually do. And they're both so into each other that it just makes sense. So when she appears in her sparkly magic dress at the end, like, I'm clapping for them. I'm like, yeah, go off, you little freak. Like, do your thing. You guys are meant to be together, you know? It's crazy. And I can't help but love that we see him fall for her twice in 2 different forms. I think that's really nice. And also, there's a reason that we know him as Prince Eric and not just Ariel's prince. Like, he has a personality, which is fun. Also, there is something very fun about her being a princess marrying a prince. You know what I mean? Like, I really love that. And I think that's because up until now, we haven't had many real princesses marrying prince. I think Snow White doesn't end in marriage. Belle's not a princess originally. Cinderella's not a princess originally. Mulan's not a princess originally. You know what I mean? A princess marries a prince. How fun. I love that. Next is my Go Backpacked, 4 out of 5. I want to live at that palace on the beach. I need a beach vacation. It just looks so good. I want to feel the sand in my toes.
I don't like sand. It's coarse and it gets everywhere. Ugh.
And honestly, if I hadn't watched this movie late at night, I probably would have put on a swimsuit and gone and played mermaids in my in-laws pool by myself. I love the water. I do. And I would do anything to live in a beachside town. So. Next. How hard did I cry? 1 out of 5. I got a tiny bit misty-eyed when Triton destroyed Ariel's secret grotto. Not so fun fact, I was terrified as a child that my parents were going to destroy my bookcase if I ever did something wrong. Not because my parents ever told me that was the case or did anything physically or emotionally to indicate that that was even an option, but because of this movie specifically. The scene just fucked me up as a kid, I guess. And it doesn't give me that same level of anxiety now, but it does make me horribly sad because we see how much she loves her trinkets. We have a whole song about her with her trinkets, and it's a really fucked up thing for Triton to do. But because of that, it makes it really believable that she goes to Ursula for a solution. She's heartbroken, of course she does. She feels like she has nothing left to lose and her father doesn't love her, for God's sake. Ugh. Did I mention that this is a really tight story? Did I dance in my seat? 3 out of 5. The music is all around really solid. 2 songs made me dance, which is Les Poissons. Les Poissons, Les Poissons. Oh. Which, let it be known, I didn't realize how much I sang that in my everyday life. It's literally every time that I have fish. So there's that. And Kiss the Girl, which, to no one's surprise, because it's a banger of a song. It is. How evil is evil? 2 out of 5. Ursula is evil. Don't worry, she is very evil. But she has a little fun upbeat song. She has a fun little dance, and that doesn't make her feel evil. And like, we know that she wants to have Ariel as this weird little worm plant thing for all eternity in her garden, and that's messed up. But she only wants to do it to mess with Triton and to get back to the magic Triton to get back on the throne. But also she got a fun little dance. She puts on a little show, you know? So she feels more toxic than evil, I guess. Next, would this be made today? I put a 3 out of 5 because it was made today. But like most of the remakes, they took out all its teeth. Okay, I like the things that they added with Eric and how he wants to explore the world, and that's cool. They made him a foil to her, but they also took out my favorite line, which is, and don't underestimate the importance of body language. Ha! The men up there don't like a lot of blabber. Sorry. Because yeah, I get it, she's 16, we shouldn't talk about her using her body to seduce a man. But like, her #1 goal is to use her body to seduce a man. Like, that's part of the story. And 2, Ursula's the bad guy. Come on. Like, yeah, it's a bad thing to say. It's almost like she's a bad octopus. Who would have guessed? She's evil. I also, the same way I want to do a what makes on Beauty and the Beast, I also want to do a what makes on Little Mermaid. Because there's so many variations on the story, and I think it'd be cool to compare and contrast them all. Again, do you have a preference for me to do Beauty and the Beast first or Little Mermaid first? Because they take a lot of time. So, and I'm gonna do both, whether you like it or not. So put it down below, which one would you prefer to see first? Thank you. And so, The Little Mermaid gets a score of 27. That feels about right. Next, I just realized I never explained my costume change. And I'm still not going to. Next, Princess and the Frog. So I went into this movie with a lot of weird feelings going on. Because after my Pandora Ring video, I was recommended a video about how Disney princesses are all subversive, and that's what makes them interesting. But then I saw Tiana was at the very end of the video. And so I started watching the beginning of the video, and I was like, oh, he got good things to say. Oh, interesting. But I was really anxious, so I jumped to the Tiana section, and it was just along the lines that she doesn't change throughout the movie and still gets everything she wants. And anyway, don't quote me on that, and don't go to the video because I'm not emotionally or mentally ready to catch any smoke. I'm about to start my period, so don't do that. I just wanted to put that out there, that like, that was kind of in my mind when I started this movie. But then I watched the movie and I'm like, fuck, no, she does change. Fuck you, you know what I mean? I love this movie. And again, say it with me, is it fucked that our only black Disney princess spends most of the movie as a frog, as an animal, and not as a human? Yes, I'm never letting go of that. But impact versus intention. I wholeheartedly do not believe that the intention was to give her less face time than the other Disney princesses. Actually, I believe that the intention was to make her more like the other Disney princesses that we had had up until this point. There has been, and for the foreseeable future, will always be a call to make more movies with minorities at the front, whether it be Black, Hispanic, East Asian, Asian of any sort. Have them at the forefront and make original stories. We don't want remakes, we don't want retellings, we want original stories. And at its heart, that's what this is trying to do. Because at this point, the Disney princesses had only ever been retellings of fables, of fairy tales. And The Princess and the Frog is a German fairy tale. And they very easily could have made a German or white presenting princess for Princess and the Frog. But instead they decided to make the choice to set it in New Orleans, to make the main character a low-income black woman as the lead. And that's crazy. If we had tried to break the Disney princess formula at that point in time with a black princess without following the fairy tale structure, I don't know how it would have gone over. I don't think it would have gone over very well. But the fact that she is a fairy tale princess and is black, and her blackness affects the story, is crazy. That's so creative. It's pretty original, and I'm a fan. I think it's clever. I do. And I have since watching this movie this last time, I've actually learned more about the creation of the Princess and the Frog. So again, I'm gonna bring up impact versus intent. I don't remember their names, I'm so sorry to these men, but the two white guys who were first working on the Princess and the Frog originally had the story with Tiana being named Cammy, and she was a maid in the Lottie. She was a maid in Lottie's household, right? And that's how they were gonna get the story structured around. Well, Cammy is a little too close to Mammy, and being a maid to a white family is a little, in the South, is a little too close to being a slave, if you catch my drift. And so those things were not intentional, and the second they were pointed out to this creative team, they immediately changed it. They're like, oh shit, our bad. And they learned that they had an unintentional racial bias, because it just never crossed their mind how that would come across, right? And so what did they do? They brought on more Black people to be consultants. How do we tell this story? How do you think Oprah became a part of the creative team? Because she came in as a consultant. And I think that's really telling of the intention of the story. I just think that's very telling of the creative hands that were on this project and how they wanted to treat Tiana and how they wanted to treat our first Black Disney princess. And with all that being said, even though the intent was well-meaning and that they did put in the effort behind it, obviously they weren't able to catch everything, and with her being a frog most of the time, okay, yeah, that's not a great look. But the impact is we got a Black Disney princess who is beautiful and stunning and who has worked hard her entire life and got to reap the rewards of being a princess, and that's great. I think The Princess and the Frog is such a good movie, and it tried to do a lot of good things. And I don't want to discount the good things that it did do and how it gave a lot of children of color a princess to look up to, because she was the first, like, dark-skinned princess. Don't ever forget. And, like, she was the first princess that I related to personally. So
I'm gonna be so for real with you. I started to crash out trying to get my point across, and I'm only putting this in because the next clip I come in a little hot, and I wanted to explain why that was. You didn't do anything wrong. I'm not angry at you. I'm angry at myself.
I don't know. I guess I just want to say that, like, there's a lot of shit to be mad about right now, and there will always be shit to be mad about, and there has always been shit to be mad about. But just because you're mad about something doesn't mean that you can't also be a part of fixing it. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's shitty that they made the Black Princess a frog most of the movie. But I'm also going to sing this movie's praises because I want them to make more movies with Black characters as the leads. I don't want the message that I leave to be, hey, we shouldn't have Black princesses because they can't do it right. No, the message should be, hey, I like you had a Black princess. You didn't do everything right, but I want more of this. I'm in a lot of pain, I'm sorry. But I want this to be in the video because I think the message is important, even though I'm getting teary-eyed. Anyway, would I show this to my children? Would I show this movie to my children alone? 4 to 5. I think the story is great. I think it has a great moral of not letting life pass you by and being grateful for what you have and, you know, slowing down to smell the roses. I think that's beautiful. I can see Dr. Facilier's musical number being scary to a kid, but I also think that it's, like, colorful and stylized enough that I could see most kids just kind of being about it. You know what I mean? It got good music. It got fun vibes. It got a little puppet doing this. My brother told me the other day, by the way, completely unprompted, because he didn't know I was doing this video, but his girlfriend asked him, like, what Disney villain would he be, and he said the Dr. Facilier puppet banging on the drums. Keep in mind, he asked me what Disney villain would he be, and I said the Dr. Facilier puppet banging on the drums. If that tells you anything about what type of relationship we have. Anyway, do I want her doll? 4 out of 5. I've said before, I'll say it again. This is one of the prettiest princess dresses. It is so big. It is so sparkly. The lily pad theme is translated beautifully. I love it so much. I love her more slimmed down version. I love the flapper dress style. And, like, this aesthetic is so distinct. It could be translated in so many ways. It is warm toned green, gold, and white and sparkle, and it always looks good. Also, I saw a video of her in the park the other day looking more traditional 1920s aesthetic, and she looks good. Like, every rendition of Tiana I have seen is stunning. And with the New Orleans background, there's so much history that could be pulled from that you could see at a glance. We could do a masquerade, we could do something with beads, we could do something Mardi Gras. Like, there's so much that we could do, and it'd be so much fun, and it's pretty. She's pretty. Art Deco is pretty. Anyway, next is my heart aflutter. 4 out of 5. It's a 4 for 2 reasons. One, I'm convinced that Evangeline is Ray's dead wife or dead love, who he adores and follows into the afterlife, and him singing to Evangeline, and the fact that it's the last thing that he looks up at, and he dies in peace looking up at her. Ah! I love it so much. And 2, Naveen telling Tiana, if I can mince, then you can dance, is such good writing. Like, he tells her this after she gets self-conscious because she's never danced before, and it makes me so soft and so weak. It's so cute because that is his turning point. That is the moment that we see that he is starting to change, because old Naveen would have said, I can dance well enough for both of us, or I can show you how to dance, or I can lead, just follow my lead, but he doesn't make it about himself. He makes it about her and her capableness, and he believes in her and her capability. Hey, if I can do something hard, so can you. Like, if I can do it, you can dance. Like, come on. It's about how capable she is as a person, even outside of her comfort zone, and it makes me fucking soft. God. Next is my go bag packed 3 out of 5. So, this one's interesting. I love the idea of New Orleans, and I think the architecture is gorgeous. But see, I've been to New Orleans. I went last October to go to the Eras tour. Fun fact, that is also where I learned I can't fly anymore. I can't be on a plane. It makes my spine feel like it's gonna pop out of my body. I get squeezed so tight. Anyway, I had a great time. It's a beautiful city, wonderful food, and if I never go back, I'm chill. It's not bad, it's just not for me, and that's perfectly fine. Not everything's meant to be for me. But the food, oh baby, the food's delicious. The food was so good. I ate one of everything. I can't eat meat, but one of everything that had fish, which was a lot. So I was thriving. And the food in this movie made me hungry. Oh my god. But this movie made me so hungry. The food animation looks so good. Specifically, the pumpkin, like wild pumpkin gumbo that happens in the swamp. Wow, that looked delicious. Delicious. And also the movie got a point for making me want to go back to New Orleans. Even though I don't want to go back to New Orleans, so I feel like that's fair. Next, how hard did I cry? It's a 0.5 out of 5 for me. Because Ray and Evangeline make me soft, okay? I'm human. Like the moment right before he dies, he's looking me up and he's like, oh, and he's at peace and ready and willing to go because he gets to see his love. It made me soft, okay? I almost got an eye shimmer. Next, did I dance in my seat? It got a 3 out of 5. Friends on the Other Side, almost there, and dig a little deeper, it had me bopping around. I was doing a little bit of dish. And again, I think I've learned I just really like when music has drums. Who could have seen that coming? Next, how evil is evil? And this one got a 3 out of 5 because Dr. Facilier is a really cool villain, but he's not evil with a capital E. He's selfish and he's self-serving, but he's not carve the heart out of a child evil. But he's also like not evil because he does step on Ray, crushing him and killing him after seeing that this bug has sentience and is actively fighting his shadows. He doesn't kill him because he's like, oh my god, a fly in my way. No, you're going after my guys. Bye. Which just goes to show that he's like okay with murder, but that it's not his first course of action, you know? Which is why he gets a 3. Next, would this be made today? I put a 2 out of 5. I said probably. There's nothing really controversial about it. It really only gets a 2 because it's a black lead in a semi-original story / retelling of a fairy tale. And I think that Disney would think that that's too big of a risk after so many failed POC-led movies, not understanding why the movies are failing. You know what I mean? So, 2 out of 5. Which brings us to a grand total of 23.5. I'm happy with that. Next, Moana. I don't ever want to hear another person talk shit about Lin-Manuel Miranda ever again. Thank you. This music is so good. And at this point, I had already been feeling the movie burnout. I didn't want to watch anything with a narrative. I wanted to watch Twitch streams, I wanted to watch YouTube videos, or reality TV trash. Like, I didn't want anything that I had to use my brain for, you know? I was done. This is 11 movies in, back to back to back. Watching 2 or 3 movies a day, like, come on. But Moana came on. And the second Away, Away started playing, I was really into it. I was like, ugh. This movie looks so good without ever hitting that like uncanny valley. Plus, it's just a classic adventure movie. Our hero is given a quest and she will do anything to complete that quest, and I love that. It's just fun. And I've seen this movie a few times over the years with friends and family, and it holds up, you know? And not only that, but Maui and Tomatoa got a few actual laughs out of me. Not just, no, a genuine, which, it got to the point where I almost considered going back and adding a giggle rating to the rubric of, could this movie make me giggle? But except it's the second last movie and I didn't want to do that. So would I show this to my children alone? 5 out of 5. I think Tafiti in her lava form would scare a lot of children. The rah, she's climbing at you. Yeah, no, that's scary. And same with the moment that Moana goes out past the reef for the first time and the boat capsizes and she gets stuck underwater. She's out there alone and she almost drowns. You know, the water's crashing and wow, and she's stuck. That one, she almost drowns. But I kind of want my kids to be scared about going out into the ocean alone in case of drowning, so they don't go out into the ocean alone. So to me, they cancel each other out. Now, do I want her doll? 5 out of 5, absolutely I do, and I need her to come with Hey Hey. I love Hey Hey, especially in like her chief outfit, the one she wears at the very end of the movie, or the headdress that she wears at the beginning of the movie. Mwah! Exquisite. And now, I am not Pacific Islander in any way, shape, or form, although it is the second most popular guess. Even though I'm 5'2", but Moana was the first Disney princess to really look like me, with the curly hair and the deeper skin tone and the stockier build. Like, she meant a lot to me. She still means a lot to me. And I know that her doll would have a lot of tan and reds, and I would want her to have a lot more ocean colors to incorporate the green heart of Tafiti and the blue ocean, obviously. But the fact that she has reds partnered with the sand colors makes me like the idea of her collector's doll more than Pocahontas, who also, we agreed, would most likely be in a lot of tans. Next is my heart aflutter. 0 out of 5, unless we want to count Maui being in love with himself, which I almost did. Up until the very end, I had it at a 1 out of 5. And I know I complained about Awkwafina playing Sisu in Raya, and so how is The Rock as Maui different? A few things. Well, one, The Rock has more of a connection to the source material. I'm not saying Awkwafina doesn't have an emotional connection to the story in Raya and the cultural influence. Absolutely not. I'm saying Maui is a demigod in Pacific Islander mythos. It is a one-to-one story that is being pulled into this movie that The Rock grew up listening to. How do I know he grew up listening to it? Because, fun fact, in the movie, Maui talks about how he took an eel, buried its guts, now you have coconuts. Like, that's the story of how they got the coconut tree in the song You're Welcome. Apparently, originally the lyrics read differently, and it was something along the lines of, like, eating the eel or burying something different. Like, it was just slightly different. But when he got the song, he was like, actually, the story I heard growing up was that he buried the eel. It was like, no, the one I read was a little different. And they went, okay, sure, and put that in. Right. Breaking news. My partner opened the window, and now my lighting looks 10 times better. This is an established mythos that he grew up hearing, and whether or not believing in doesn't matter. He's familiar with it. Versus Awkwafina with Raya, where it's this amalgamation, where it's pulling something from everywhere. but it's not a one-to-one. Much more fictionalized, very much like Mushu. And second, The Rock already talks about himself like he's the gift to humankind. So him playing a character with that level of ego works a lot better. And that's the level of separation that a character like Sisu needed. They need to feel otherworldly because they're meant to be otherworldly, whether that is demigod, deity, or just an immortal being. And that is something that Mushu has and Maui has, but that Sisu is lacking, unfortunately. Also, Genie. Except Genie does kind of give off the vibe that he watches trash reality TV in his lamp while waiting for the next summoning. No? And that feels believable given the canonicity of Genie. Anyway, is my go bag packed? 3 out of 5. Yes! I love water! If we haven't established that by now. The ocean looks great this entire movie, and I know that Disney had to make a new program. I think that's what that's called. I almost said rigging, and I'm like, that's not right. No, they had to make a whole new program to make how the water physics. And it did, in fact, make me want to go play Wayfinder in the pool by myself. The same way the Little Mermaid made me want to go play mermaids. I want to go swimming, okay? It just wasn't hot enough that day. Next, how hard did I cry? 3 out of 5. Grandma dying while my grandma is visiting from... Yahoo! But grandma dying and in her final breath telling Moana to go fulfill her calling, even though it meant that her not being there with her on her deathbed, got to me, okay? And then grandma telling her that it is okay to go home and to give up because Moana had already done so much more than she ever thought that she could, and Moana realizing that the call was inside her all along because she is the product of her ancestors and the people before her. Oh my god. I think this is the first movie that actually made me get up and go get a box of tissues. Brave, I just sobbed into my shirt. You know what I mean? Like, that was a too sudden onslaught. Versus Moana, where it was just a sudden onslaught of tears. Even though I knew it was coming, I didn't think it was gonna hit me as hard as it did, so I had to go and get tissues. Anyway, next, did I dance in my seat? 5 out of 5. I adore Lin-Manuel Miranda. I said before, to say it again, I will not accept any Lin-Manuel Miranda hate on this page. Normally, my rule is I will only delete racist comments. I will also delete Lin-Manuel Miranda hating comments. And I mean that with my whole heart. This is my channel, and we will put respect on that man's name. He means the world to me, and maybe one day I will tell you why. But he does. And sure, You're Welcome and Shiny are both overplayed at this point, but how the fuck do you think that they got there? It's because they're good. They're good songs. And Shiny is such a good villain song. I remember being in the theater Thanksgiving Day when this movie came out with my family, and whatever year it came out, I don't remember. But I remember being in that theater and hearing Shiny for the first time. I left that theater and I bought the album on my way home. It is one of, I think, 3 albums I've ever bought, excluding Hamilton and Love is Love from a few years ago. Next, how evil is evil? 0 out of 5. I don't think that there is any real evil in the movie, like, because Taka is the big bad, right? The big lava monster. But we learned that that is Tafiti without her heart, and the whole her without her heart, it's not her fault, it doesn't define you, what's happened, like, please, let's just put this right. Like, that's not evil, that's called being misunderstood, okay? I love this movie so much. Lastly, would this be made today? And I said a 2 out of 5. Because yeah, no, I think that they would, and I think that they tried to with Moana 2, which I still haven't watched, but I know that that has not been very well received at this point, and so I know that they're itching for that live action to be a home run. And now why are they doing a live action with a movie that's under 10 years old? Don't ask me. I don't know. I don't get it. But at least they have Ali Ikrolio as an executive producer, who was the original voice of Moana, which is cool, and I think that she deserves it. And for that alone, I want the live action to do well, because I want her to have that feather in her cap. You know what I mean? She deserves that on her resume of her career. I love her. And now, this isn't a 1 or 0, because I don't think that Disney, with this same exact prompt, would make this same movie right now. If they were handed this prompt in the Disney executive office, hey, I have an idea for a princess, here you go. Or I have an idea for a movie, here you go. I don't think we would have the same movie at the end. Simply because I think that they would have dialed back the one-to-one Pacific Islander influence. I don't think that we would have gotten Maui. I think we would have gotten a different made-up demigod, you know what I mean? Because cultures where their stories and their mythos are often passed down verbally from family to family, there can be some variance, like The Rock saying, this is how I heard it growing up, etc, etc. And I think Disney wouldn't want to put a stick in the grass being like, this is what we deem to be correct. I think that they're much more scared of getting it wrong nowadays, and they're just like, well, we'll just make something up instead, you know? And I don't like that. Last but not least, Tangled. I was really excited for us to end on Tangled, because I think it's widely considered to be one of the best modern Disney movies. And honestly, it lives up to the hype. It's really fun, and it's really funny. I ended up watching this last night before my birthday at like 11 o'clock at night. I watched it with my brother, and I was able to wish me happy birthday at midnight, and so it was a lot of fun. Let's just jump into it, dude. Like, this movie is so fun. 1, would I show it to my children alone? 5 out of 5. I think this movie strikes a really unique balance where the villain is fucking awful, evil as can be, but not scary, but still reads as awful. And so it's a fun time, good moral, nice, scary, evil villain with good stakes who does want to do bad things that any child could watch worry-free. And I love that. And I think it captures such a wide audience the way that Disney wants to capture a live audience now without sacrificing on making strong choices. They really captured lightning in the bottle with this one. Like, it's really good, honestly. Next, do I want her doll? 4 out of 5. I love the imagery of the sun. I love the purple and the yellow. It is fun. It is bright. Imagery of sun and flowers is really pretty. It's right up my alley. And I think that the correct shade of purple and the correct shade of yellow and almost anything would read Rapunzel. Is how strong, it's how cohesive the imagery of this movie is, because the purple and the yellow are not just her colors that she wears, but also the city of Corona, the lanterns, the flowers that are in her hair. You know what I mean? It's sprinkled everywhere. This pinky, purple, and golden tones. Ah, so good. It's so cohesive. Ah, it's so good. Next, is my heart aflutter? It was a 5 out of 5 because And At Last I See the Light is so much better than I remember. And not only is the song really good about how I see you, I want to be with you, I can see what I want for my future now, not just that, but also as the lanterns are lighting up and we swoop towards them in the boat, like they're sitting there, she's putting flowers on the water and he's sitting there holding the flowers for her, and I'm just swooning. It's that entire sequence is so good, and it really, we've seen them together the entire movie leading up to this, and they've been fighting and now they're doing teamwork. Like, you earn that moment for the big romantic gesture with this grand sweeping romantic it's so good. It's so good. And then at the very end, you were my new dream and you were mine, and she is willing to give up her freedom, the one thing that she cares most, for his life. He's willing to give up his life, I guess the one thing he cares most, for her freedom. And they love each other so much, and I love it. I love it. I do. And also, I never thought about this until right now as recording, but no princess gets proposed to. They just get married, and Flynn, and this also helps with the romance aspect, he says in the movie that he spends years and years and years and years asking until she finally says yes. And I think that's really sweet, because it means that they're like years later he's retelling this story and they're still together. It's just a picture. It's nice, it's cute. I love them. I love them. Next is my go bag packed. 3 out of 5. I want to go to Corona so bad. I want to see the lights. I want to walk around on the cobblestone steps, and I think I could get that itch scratched by going to any German small town, honestly. But I don't know, something about that small kingdom, something about it being on an island. I want to go. I want to dance around the circle. But specifically, I think it's because of the lights. There's a reason why that's the most Like when you type in Tangled, they show the castle, not the castle, they show her tower, and they show the pretty lights, you know what I mean, the floating lanterns. It's such good imagery, and it's striking, and it looks good. It still holds up. It looks so good. Next, how hard did I cry? 1 out of 5. 1 out of 5. And not for like Flynn dying, because okay, yeah, I've seen this movie, I know that he dies, I know he doesn't die, but the "you were my new dream and you were mine," it got me. I don't know why. I think I'm too close to starting my period. That's why it's only a 1, because I do feel a little silly getting emotional at that, but I have to honor the emotions I felt, and I got a little misty-eyed, okay? And I'm gonna be so for real with you, I was telling this to my brother, that the first time I saw this movie, when he dies, they let you sit with that. I thought that man was gonna stay dead. Genuinely. I was like, oh, bold. Holy cow. And then my brother didn't remember how he was brought back, so he's sitting there and he's like, do they let him die? What's happening here? Next, did I dance in my seat? 3 out of 5. Of course I did. 7 a.m. the usual morning lineup. And I didn't dance at I Have a Dream. I have a dream. I didn't dance, but it did make me laugh. It got a good few chuckles out of me. 7 a.m. the usual morning lineup. It's just good. It's fun. You feel it in your chest. You know, there's music that you feel in your chest. And specifically the opening song and then the song, I don't actually know what it's called, but in the palace like square, which is a circle. I don't know why it's called a square. But in the town square where they're dancing with all the people of the kingdom, that it got me going. I was like, ooh, music. Next, how evil is evil? 5 out of 5. Mother Gothel, high key, fucked up. It's fucked up. She literally inflicts psychic damage onto Rapunzel on the daily. Like, she kidnaps a child to mentally and emotionally abuse them and does not care. Not a single moment of remorse. To her, it's just another thing to get done to get what she wants, which is just to stay young and hot. Which, like, good for her, because she does look hot. Like, don't lie. But she is so evil. Oh my god. My brother said something that I'm just never gonna forget. He was like, I think Mother Gothel is a good litmus test to see how bad someone's mom is. And I think that's fair, honestly. And lastly, would this movie be made today? 1 out of 5, unfortunately. I think this movie is timeless and pretty bulletproof. And I say unfortunately because that means I can't score it higher, but I can't find anything wrong with it. It's such a solid story that not only anyone can enjoy, but that can age gracefully. And sure, this could be proven wrong later, but I can't think of anything in the story that we would look back on and be like, ooh, maybe we shouldn't have said that. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing that feels edgy in either direction. It just feels like a timeless story. And I think that that's cool. I do. And that's it. That is all 13 of the Disney princess movies. So let's look at the graph. So yes, I did color code my graph to be light pink and dark pink, and I do not regret it, because fun fact, it matches my script. Because I guess another fun fact, I theme every single script I write. They're all color coded, they all get a special font, the highlights are different colors. I have a fun time when writing scripts. But now, with everything being said, with all the numbers put in, let's look at a line graph and see, are movies getting worse as the years go on? No, I guess not. I think it's safe to say that, like everything, we have good movies and we have bad movies, and where we lose edginess, we gain emotional depth. So have movies gotten worse? No, I think they're just different.
And I do want to formally put out my apologies to that commenter. Sorry, Queen, don't remember your name. But I want to put out my formal apologies because they are correct. Snow White was not a good movie. It's the worst one on this list. And I am just now realizing that while editing at 3 in the morning. I'm sorry, Queen. I'm so sorry. You're so right.
If you like this rating system, don't forget to click that like button. Don't forget to leave a comment if you want me to continue with this series. And don't forget to subscribe because it's my birthday. It's my birthday. Subscribe. Goodbye.